You can stay on play-by-play the whole time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get started. We're going live.
All right.
Good evening and welcome to the snow-covered landscape of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and more specifically to Yost Arena, where today we see the Michigan Wolverines, 15th in the nation, take on the Stonehill Skyhawks in some thrilling Saturday night hockey. I am Tim DeGrand. I will be your play-by-play for tonight's action, but I am not alone. Tonight I am joined by my wonderful co-star, Vihaan Easwar. Vihaan, how we doing?
Good, good. You know, it's not every day that you go to university where you can just wake up in the morning and say, yeah, I'm a national football champion. But tonight's not about the football team. We have plenty of time to talk about them. You know, tonight is all about hockey. And the Wolverines, they've had an uneven start to the season. There's been a lot of injuries. There's been some inconsistency on defense. They split a lot of serious against ranked opposition, but they've also played a very, very difficult schedule. And this team is very clearly loaded with firepower, especially on offense. And they're playing a Stonehill team that remains winless so far on the year, and that they beat handily last night 12-4. Now, Tim, what do you think Michigan can do today to secure the win in both the matchup and the series?
I think for a match today, which again, these teams also did play last night, where Michigan won 12-4 in a very easy dispatch of the Skyhawks. But I think you're looking for some of the leaders on this team to kind of, coming out of the Christmas break, we had a few games to get back in it. Obviously, yesterday's game, but also a few days before that, had the exhibition game against the U.S. national 18 and under team. But I think you're really looking towards some of the leaders of this team, guys like Frank Nazar III, guys like Rucker McGroarty, Gavin Brindley, Seamus Casey, who leads the team in terms of plus minus. There's a plus 13 on the year. Looking for them to come out of the break for a strong kind of tune-up game today before we get into a bit of a gauntlet for this Wolverine team, with a back-to-back against Michigan State next week, followed by Wisconsin after that, and Ohio State the week after that. So this is a Big Ten conference that does not get any easier, and so Michigan's got to get these easy wins in when they can, and they got to take advantage of that to kind of tune up, to kind of get that chemistry back right, so when you do have these these tremendously talented teams coming down the pipe, that they're going to be as finely tuned as they can be for that competition. And like you touched on it earlier, with the uneasy start, Michigan has had one of the most insane schedules so far. Just a tally, Michigan so far this year has played the 17th ranked St. Cloud, the 18th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions, number 6 Minnesota, number 5 Wisconsin the week before that, number 13 Ohio State, a UMass team that's now ranked, a Providence team that was ranked when they were in the beginning of the season. The only team that Michigan has played that has not been ranked at any point this year has been Lindenwood, which they destroyed 9-1 and 10-1 on back-to-back days here in Ann Arbor. So Michigan, you don't get too many of these kind of pushover feels like disrespectful to the Skyhawks in a way that I don't mean to be disrespectful to them. But like you mentioned, they're 0-21 on the year. They haven't had a lot of success this year. And compared to some of the other teams that Michigan's going to be playing, this is probably going to be one of the most easy wins they'll have on their schedule. But we are getting ready for puck drop. We're still about 5 minutes away from it. Starting laps being announced now for the Stonehill Skyhawks. You have number 2, Greg Gapchin. You have number 7, defenseman Cameron Gaudette. You have the left wing, number 19, Frank Ireland. The right wing, number 20, Henry Schreffels, excuse me. Center, number 25, Dean Schweniger. And in the goal, number 35, Gavin Fitzpatrick. And we now bring you the starting lineup for your Michigan Wolverines here this January the 13th.
And coming up first is going to be number 5, Tyler Duke.
Defenseman, younger brother of Dylan Duke.
And next up is number 26, defenseman Seamus Casey. Skating up, we have number 25, left wing Dylan Duke, brother of Tyler.
Always love the brotherly love here down in Ann Arbor.
Joining us on the court is the versatile number 13, the center, TJ Hughes. And now, finally, to round up the lineup, number 6, right wing, Josh Arnessy. And in goal, we are going to have number 31, Noah West. A change from last night when Jake Barzewski was in the lineup.
Noah West getting the getting the rare start tonight. Jake Marcheski has really taken over for Eric Portillo, who was the staunch, the elder statesman for the last couple of years. But now Noah West getting the opportunity to get some shots under his belt as we reach the national anthem here in the building. Performed tonight by the alumni band here at the University of Michigan, with the current band being over at the championship ascension ceremony. Job there from the Michigan alumni band. As I was briefly saying, the current band is over at Chrysler right now for the championship ceremony right now. I do want to give a quick shout out though. It is just me and Vihaan with you tonight, but we were supposed to be joined by our third compadre. Noelle Bensi was supposed to be here with us subbing in and out, but she unfortunately is missing today's action. She is stuck in Fuller. She broke her arm while snowboarding in Colorado over the break, and she had to get surgery down in Florida. So Noelle, we see you, we miss you, we hope you get better soon, but at the same time, kind of sounds like a skill issue. You probably shouldn't be on those intense hills if you can't handle them like that.
Very empathetic. And now we are bringing you to just about the start. Both teams huddling up by the goals.
Just 30 seconds away until puck drop. Thank you for tuning in here on WCBN Sports Live on YouTube. Make sure that you are subscribing so you're here for all of our broadcasts that we have for all the hockey, basketball, men's and women's, and baseball and softball right around the corner. We have all those broadcasts coming up just for you right here on our YouTube channel, only place you can get it. So make sure you're subscribing, following us on all of our socials so you always know things are coming on.
Now, I think a key storyline tonight is the fact that this Wolverines team is much healthier than it's been in recent memory. You have two key players, forward Marcus Stappa and defenseman Ethan Edwards, coming back, as I'm going to turn it over to Tim for puck drop.
And puck drop is gone. Wolverines control it. Seamus Casey gets control of it, being brought up now by Duke. Pushes to the far side. Ernisi got it. Tries to swing it around the board. Doesn't quite get it. It's going to be a Skyhawks with control of it. Gaudette bringing it up for the Skyhawks. He's caught in the corner. Ireland gets it. Slamming the board by Ernisi. All the way around to number 20, Schreffels. And the puck is tied up on the right side. Wolverines come away with it, though. Great job there from Hughes to get that puck away. And Seamus Casey is going to punch it up. Hughes gets control of it. The leading point gatherer for this team swings around the net. Backside, flips it all the way back up. Edward, nice shot, but didn't quite fall.
And I just want to comment on that long punt attempt from Seamus Casey. That is one of the things he does best. He leads this team in assists with 19 and points overall, I believe, with 23. He just, despite his position as a defenseman, he's really one of those players you'll see push up a lot. He uses speed. He really likes to go into the opponent's attacking half.
Seamus Casey, of course, one of the better players on this team. Michigan now has it on the other side of the ice. Shot there from the Wolverines. That was Jacob Truscott missing that one wide. And a whistle will be a face-off after this.
Jacob Truscott, the captain, a senior from Port Huron, Michigan, at 6'1". He has already been drafted into the NHL by the Vancouver Whitecaps. By the Vancouver Canucks, my apologies. I got them mixed up with the MLS team. You'll notice there's a lot of key players on this Michigan team that have already found their homes in the NHL.
Face off now. Nazar for the Wolverines going up against 49. There's no 49. That was 48, excuse me. LaRusso, Jake LaRusso there. Wolverines still getting control of that puck, still trying to push something on the offense here. Seamus Casey pushed up to Nazar. Nazar flips it over Juan McGordy, but missed him. So Skyhawks now on the break. Being brought up by Barker. Doesn't quite get it though, puts it around. Skyhawks get it all the way back. And Noah West brings that one in easily. Wasn't so much of a shot. Just trying to get that puck out of half court. Another whistle there. Looks like an offside is going to be called, so it's going to be another face-off coming up when the circle's near mid-ice. Estapa for the Wolverines.
And number 27, Cameron Collins.
Collins going to take it, and that's going to be a win for Collins, getting it back to his teammate, Gaudette. Puck goes all the way around the boards, finds a way on the opposite side. Michigan had it for a second, but Skyhawks get it right back. Puck is now loose, going down the far side.
Very choppy first 2 minutes. You haven't seen either team really establish much possession of the puck. It's swinging back and forth. They're both sort of easing into the game. As
we hit the 18-minute mark, still a little bit sloppy right here, but Skyhawks fighting for it with Moldenhauer. But Holtz is going to get a steal there. Holtz now getting some of his first action today. Moldenhauer's got on the right side, tries to just clear it out. Was double teamed there, nothing happening. Clears it all the way out. Stonehill now trying to work it around. Mishandled there a little bit. LaPointe almost got it, but not quite. Excuse me, not LaPointe. That was
Chase Putsky.
Chase Putsky, 23, my bad.
And you'll see the Wolverines making a lot of substitutions fast, making a lot of them quick. You might wonder if maybe they're using this game to experiment just a little bit.
Try to get some different looks in their lines, and their line switches before getting into a more brutal part of the schedule. But right now, the younger Fantilli is going to be bringing this one up around. Tries to get Stoll there, and a great block from Noah West. Good shot and goal there from number 11, Hunter Hastings.
One of the first, if not the first, genuine shots on goal from either team in this matchup.
Hasn't been too much. You had McGroarty had one a little bit earlier on that was wide. Chase Plusky now trying to flip the puck around to the opposite side.
You'll see two teams playing, looking like they're very cautious at the moment. You haven't seen that much going forward from them. Again, both teams struggling to establish dominance of the puck.
Michigan has yet to get a good shot on goal here, as the Skyhawks have a great opportunity there, but wonderful stick work there from Ethan Edwards, who blocked that one out, preventing a good shot on goal there. Skyhawks working right at the net, and that's a goal for the Skyhawks. Number 20, Henry Schreffels, nutmegs Noah West in the early goings here, and all of a sudden the Skyhawks have a lead 1-0 over the Wolverines.
Now I'd like to note the continued pressure by the Skyhawks. If you were potentially watching the game, you would have noticed that Seamus Casey was essentially boxed into Noah West's box. There was essentially, the defensive line was pushed way, way back, and I think that's a neat use of pressure by the Skyhawks. They're just really making the Wolverines uncomfortable, and it worked because that distraction produced a goal.
16 minutes to go, and the Wolverines playing from behind. Holtz pushing up for the Wolverines, flips it way up ahead. No one's there. It's going to go all the way around the boards, get picked up by the Skyhawks.
Now, last night also marked some defensive struggles for the Wolverines as they gave up 4 despite the fact that they scored 12. The most goals that they've given up since, I believe, the Minnesota game back in November, where they lost 4-3 in a thriller that I actually happened to be on the call for.
Oh, very exciting. Puck staying in the Skyhawks side. Michigan trying to get something to happen, but no clean looks at the net so far. Skyhawks going to try to push it now. Gets stolen. Looks like McGroarty lost his stick for a second. And Skyhawks still in control of it so far, but that's going to be just a pass up. That's going to get picked off by Warren.
Marshall Warren, who I believe did not play last night.
Dylan Duke trying to flip that one up. He's trying to get to Fantilli. Didn't quite make it there. Fantilli with a shot on a Skyhawks. The puck keeps working its way around the boards. This puck has spent more time on the boards than it has in center ice in this game, it feels.
Yeah, it's a very cautious game from both sides. I think both teams are just more comfort to let the puck drift out behind the net than really try to force any attempts on goal. And I think the Skyhawks were a little more ambitious than the Wolverines have, and it produced them a goal.
Again, that puck in really close to that net there. It's going to be a good shot for the Skyhawks, but it's poked away by Ernisi. Wolverines now driving up. Hughes tried to hit Ernisi, cut up the middle there, but no dice.
Now the Wolverines are playing extremely scared almost when it comes to the back. You see them boxing in, not particularly steady, and
Hughes with it, trying to work down the boards, but he got body checked there. Didn't get anything going. DeGrand for the Skyhawks was the one that laid that hit in. And we're getting icing called against the Skyhawks. Going to get face off here in a second. 14:30 to go. Michigan only 2 shots on goal through almost the first 5 minutes of action here.
Yeah, and you'll have to note that the Wolverines are playing scared. Well, maybe not scared is the word, but a little more cautious because they have the big win from last night. They may not want to aggravate players in any risky maneuvers in a season that's been beset heavily by injury.
Warren face off against Heath. Warren won it, but again, no dice on the shot from the Wolverines. Skyhawks pushing it up again, and Noah West is just going to bring this one in. Puck was staying a little bit wide, but he was like, better not to give him a chance. Catches it with that mitt there, and it's going to be another face-off as we get some line changes for both teams. If you're just tuning in, welcome to WCBN Sports for this matchup of Wolverines versus Skyhawks. Skyhawks already on the board. At about 5 minutes in, they hit a nutmeg on Noah West with his commotion by the net, and the Wolverines trying to come back from it. Face off in front of the Wolverine net. Wolverines win it.
Skyhawks currently outshooting the Wolverines 5-2.
And another whistle, another quick icing call for that one. 14:09 on the clock, 0-1. Skyhawks with a 1-point lead. Some more line changes. And that's just going to bring the puck right back to the same face-off circle right in front of Noah West.
Stonehill goalkeeper Gavin Fitzpatrick has only had to make 2 saves compared to Noah West's 4.
It's going to be Estapa versus Schwenninger on this face-off, and Estapa wins that one. Gets it back to Seamus Casey, one of the leaders on this Wolverine team. Looking for someone like him to step up and make a play coming on here. That's Shifsky pushing it down the far side of the ice. Around the goal, trying to make something happen, but messed up on the deke. Puck went to the boards. Michigan still getting control of it.
Yeah, and I think maybe a factor for that lack of control is the spaces. If you were to notice the court, you would see the Wolverines are playing very wide out, very spaced out, not really moving in formation so much as simply drifting their sides and focusing on their matchups, which is the mark of a more defensive team when you think about it. Absolutely. And not necessarily a team that should be trying to get ahead.
Casey with the interception puts the kibosh on that attack. Tyler Duke corrals that puck, pushes it around the ice. Goes right back there, number 23, Chase Pletsky. Again, push up that far side, not happening. Skyhawks try to get it, scramble for it. Across the other side to LaRusso, excuse me. The letters look small from up here. But Wolverines get back control of it, pass it up, and they've got the numbers. Push up is Plesky. He's got Rowe with him, flips the other side, and just off the mark there.
And there you saw the entire
Stephen Holtz with a great attempt there.
The entire line that's on the ice moved in sync. You haven't seen a lot of that from the Wolverines so far. A lot of them seem very spread out today. And I think if they want to get ahead, if they want to win this game, they're going to need more syncopated movement like that.
Absolutely. Still not much working for the offense. Nazar had a shot there to drive in, but he got by-checked, lost the puck. Skyhawks back with it in Wolverine territory. McGroarty fighting on the boards with Grenada. And that puck gets back into Nazar's hands. Nazar's going to try to break it. He's got Brindley on his left, but loses control of the puck. Goes behind the neck. Brindley with a big shot coming in. Puck gets to McGroarty in the middle and gets swallowed up by the goalkeeper.
I think
That was Trusat, who had a great attempt there trying to push it in, but the goaltender swiped it right up, so we're going to get faced off in front of the Skyhawk net.
Yeah, and I think Trusat might have gotten a little frustrated there, maybe at the lack of attacking opportunities, just kind of let one shot fly, hoping that it would go in. It was a decent shot. It had the power. It was just never getting past Fitzpatrick.
McGroarty versus Collins going to be facing off. That's going to go for the Wolverines. Trusat flips it over. That's Brindley, flips back over. Trusat slap shot. And again, 8 up by Fitzpatrick. Good little game for him so far. That's 4 shots on goal. None of them found their way in yet, especially when you consider last night, first goal scored by Michigan 17 seconds into the game.
Now the Wolverines are starting to catch up in terms of shots taken. They have 4 on the board, and the Jayhawks have 5. But at the same time, you note the inefficiency, and you note it's not necessarily the greatest quality of shots. They don't seem to be willing to wait simply because in a lot of cases there just isn't the support to justify a more calculated approach.
Michigan again winning the faceoff. Fantilli's got it up by the blue line. Gets over Ernest, kicked around a little bit. Skyhawks getting control and just going to flip it around. Gaudette bringing it up. Nothing working. Skyhawks still got it, but big shot in the back from Hughes knocks that one free. West going to corral behind the net and hand it off to Fantilli again. Pushes up to Ernest right around the blue line. big battles there. King knocked it out with a big shot to her niece. A good shot on goal there from number 17, Matt Allen.
And I think you're starting to see a little more physicality. You're starting to see the Wolverines fight a little more. I think initiated by that good play from Hughes, who's one of the more versatile players on this offense.
Wolverines running out now. Seamus Casey got it around the blue line. Great shot up, almost got it. Ernice with a second attempt, just missed top left corner. And we get a whistle, and it's going to be another face-off back in front.
Yeah, there was a fair bit of confusion in the Jayhawks half there. Looked like all of their men were piled back towards the box, adopting an ultra-defensive formation. And when you have scenarios like that, you are more likely for a hit. You're more likely for close contact. And I think that shows you the Jayhawks aren't just going to roll down and take the loss here. I think they're playing for a bit of pride. They're playing to get their first win of the year, and they want it to be against a very reputed Michigan hockey program. And they're showing that with this physical, close contact sort of play.
Nazar versus Schweniger on the face-off in front of the Skyhawk net, won by the Wolverines. Seamus Casey got it. Shot by Brindley, not quite. Miss it wide, it follows the boards around. Brindley's going to corral one behind the blue line now. Going to try to work its way back up. Seamus Casey, far side, lose it for a second. Comes his way as Schweniger, pushes it up there. Gets it back, flips it, tried to get Ireland there. But some great defense by Brindley. Puck didn't go through. Michigan now is going to run for it. Warren flips it over to McGroarty. Puck gets stolen though. Try to flip back up the ice. Now the Skyhawks are going to advance a little bit with it. Number 44, Tripp, flips it in the middle there. And a shot on goal goes just wide by Schreifels.
Now, if I may, I think I'm going to comment on a slight bit of impatience from the Wolverines. You will see a lot of shots from out in the distance, but I mentioned that it's a pretty spacious game that's being played right now. The Wolverines aren't taking advantage of that space to skate and create a bit of distance on the ice. They seem very desperate to just do what they can from their position rather than waiting to get into a better position.
Slap shot from Rane, missed wide, but Skyhawks got another shot at it. That one was number 2, Greg Gapchin, excuse me. That one didn't go either. Still keeping on Michigan's side of the ice. Michigan has not had many good looks. We've hit the 10-minute mark now, still 1-0. So we get another quick line change.
Pretty clean first half of the period, I think. Both teams are a little contact shy today. Michigan in particular due to the sheer number of energies they have, although there was a good bit of physicality from TJ Hughes.
Holtz flips it up around the near side, going to try to ride the ice, gets over to Shifsky. Shifsky right back, trying to get to Nazar. Gets caught up in the corner. McGroarty comes to help out. Gets flipped back around again to Warren. Warren gets it back up to Shifley, who misses it. It's going to go back across the blue line. And all of a sudden, there's a couple Skyhawks there. Michigan's just going to clear it out. It's going to be an icing. It was just a lot. Tyler Duke there to flip that one out. A lot of chaos. Just trying to get a second to breathe. 9:15 to go. 1-0 Skyhawks.
Now, I really like what I've seen from Stonehill so far. It's been an organized game. They've been combative, but not necessarily dirty. Like I said, they've shown that they want this win, that it's about more than just pride to them. And I have to commend that.
Nazar facing off there with Collins. Skyhawks get control of it behind the net, trying to move it around. Back up top, Campione rolls around the ice again. Collins gets it right back, fighting with Warren. Puck is staying along the boards. Flipped out to a kind of Campione. It's going to be a tripping call against Estapa. Incidental contact there. Estapa tripped him up with the skate. It's going to be the first power play of the day, as the Wolverines will go shorthanded.
Honestly, for me, that did look somewhat intentional, but in a more tactical sense, because I definitely think that the Skyhawks were on for goal on that play. I admire Estapa's effort to put his skate out, get a little dirty, and just stop that play, take the penalty.
It was definitely a bit more reactionary, like, oh crap, someone skated past me, let me get that puck real quick. But he was in no position to make that move. He was a little bit too far behind, because that got called with it right in front of the ref too. That was not getting missed. 8:55 to go in the first period. 0-1. Stonehill still leading. Going into the penalty box, Mark Estapa, the junior at St. Clair, Michigan. It's been decent for the team this year. 2 goals with 1 assist to his name. Definitely a lot more useful, more on the defensive and in that intermediary game. But yeah, it's been a awkward start for the Wolverines, as they've gotten a couple looks on net, but they haven't really, for what we saw yesterday with the 12-4 game, and just for the talent that's on this team and us having that advantage over Stonehill, we expect to see maybe a little bit more one-on-ones going. Expect to see maybe Hughes or McGrory or Brindley try to take it all the way against them. But nothing's been working for the Wolverines. The only, you kind of briefly touched on it earlier, the good shots to goal they've had have all been slap shots from out near the blue line. They haven't really had many good opportunities up close. You got to wonder if Michigan's going to be trying to change anything up to get more of those opportunities, or they're going to just stick with what they're doing, because they are still down. We've played over a half a period of hockey already.
No, absolutely, yes. And they haven't been able to close in on tight spaces. They've remained sort of on the narrow, sort of focusing on matchups more than necessarily have cohesive team play. When good things have happened, it's come from the lines making that synchronized movement that you just haven't seen a lot of. And again, I don't know what it is. It seems like there's a bit of impatience in general in the team, but there's also just a little, it's somehow both impatience and caution, because you don't see too many one-on-ones. You don't see any just solo charges, which the team could really need to open up some space right now.
Turn of the action, face-off after the penalty was won by the Skyhawks. It's going to be a slap shot attempt, didn't quite go. It was Schreifels, who had the goal earlier, was looking for a second one. It's going to be another great attempt there by Jabshin, but didn't work either. Jabshin gets it back up by the blue line. Flip backs over to Collins. Over to Schreifel on the wing, back up top. Michigan just content to sit back and try to kill this power play than make anything happen. Great defense there from Edwards. Stopping the shot there. Shot attempt was from Rane, excuse me. A great block there from Noah West, but still Michigan fighting for it in the corner. Hasn't gotten control of it yet. Gets stuck out there. Cleared out. Scott still control it, but the puck just slips back behind the blue line. Ernisi running with Jabshin, trying to get it back. Doesn't quite. Jabshin's going to loop all the way around the net and start to bring it back up. Good challenge by Dylan Duke. Left it behind, and Gavin Brindley almost got him there to steal it. Michigan's now challenging the Skyhawks in the back ice. And Dylan Duke and Schwerniger get tied up back there. But again, Skyhawks keeping control of this ice. 7:30, only 40 seconds left in the power play already. So Michigan's done a good job of killing this, not letting them get too many good shots. But here comes Barker, drive the near side, flips it, no one's home, and thought he had a teammate out there by the blue line, wasn't there. Brindley almost getting a steal there, losing control of the puck. Fighting for it, finally gets it back, flips it up top.
We see some good movement from the Wolverines on this power play. There's
15 seconds with it.
Synchronicity. I think you'll see all players on the ice just dropping back into their own half to just kind of kill that power play a couple of times. And I think more of that's what's needed in the offense if Michigan's going to score a goal anytime soon.
Tyler Duke just flips that one up so Michigan can get a line change. And with that, Michigan returns to full strength. Power play is done. A great job killing it there. And immediately it's going to be a power play for the Wolverines as Skyhawks commit a penalty of their own. I think it's the same tripping call.
Yeah, definitely looks like a tripping call.
This is going to go against number 55 for the Skyhawks, Dominic Campione.
That one did look a little more incidental as we review the feed on the boards. As
still got him, was tied up with Frank Nazar. So now
Nazar may have been selling it a bit on his end, but at the same time, there was some light contact, and I think it was indeed enough for a penalty.
It's the perfect opportunity for the Wolverines to finally get themselves on the board. Seamus Casey working the offense. Gets a shot on goal, doesn't quite fall there. A little high, a little outside. TJ Hughes also had a good shot on goal, but that one didn't work either. Brindley's going to get a good look here. Gets scared away by the defense. It's going to get a shot deflected before it hits the crease. Goes wide again. And Skyhawks just going to clear that one out. West is going to come out of the goal to tap it to Casey.
I mentioned this on multiple previous calls, but I think Casey's best attribute is his ability to take the puck deep and go on those darting sorts of runs like he's making right now.
It's not something that you usually require of your defenseman, but he is so great with it. It's a joy to have on this team. And finally, the goal for the Wolverines. TJ Hughes buries that puck in the back of the net. His 25th goal on the season. his 9th goal in the season, his 25th point. And with that power play goal, finally brought back up at 1-1 with just under 6 minutes to go.
TJ Hughes, incredibly versatile player, capable of scoring and assisting. He's got a few more assists there. That time he was playing a purely forward role, not super involved in the build-up, but just positioned himself near the goal mouth, hung around, and struck when the time was right. He is absolutely capable of playing a more assisting and more supplying role, but on there, he just took the role of the typical center, just hang around the goal mouth and wait for the goal, and it came.
Love to see that from TJ Hughes, as that goal, of course, ends the power play for the Skyhawks, so even numbers now. But Wolverines needed that one and needed that one bad. Another face-off on the Skyhawks side. Wolverines controlling the puck. Fantilli trying to get it up to a stop button. Almost actually accidentally made it in. The Skyhawks can control the puck, and they're going to push it. Oh! And Fantilli decks Cam Collins. Gets control of that puck. And a whistle for icing.
And I just want to talk about that movement by Fantilli. I think it's really smart of the way he uses the rest of his body without necessarily going in with the head. That mitigates the potential amount of damage that could have come from the challenge, as in physical damage. But at the same time, it smartly gets the puck away and manages to avoid detention for a foul. I think that's a really smart move, because if you watch the replays, you'll notice he leads with his body. And it isn't even a particularly forceful play. He just knows where to use it, and he does it perfectly.
Fantilli really trying to live up to the family name. That TJ Hughes goal assisted by Rucker McGroarty and Gavin Brindley. That evens things up at 1. 5:25 to go in the first. Face off in front of the Wolverine net. Estapa comes away with it. Tries to flip it up, but gets stolen, and he himself decks number 19 Ireland for the Skyhawks.
That one looked a little more like a blatant push. I thought I could have seen some use of hands, but at the same time, it seemed to be off the puck, so...
A little bit more. It is hockey. They get a little chippy out there, but with that, we get another whistle. It's going to be a face-off coming up near center ice.
You know, my dad taught me an old saying, I went to watch a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Fortunately, those days are long past us. Now we get a lot more hockey in our fights. But here we go. Wolverines win that face-off near center ice. Almost have a near collision there with Edwards almost running into Casey. The Wolverines bring the puck in Skyhawk territory.
It's been a lot better for the Wolverines lately. There's a lot more of that synchronized movement. There's a lot more closing of space, like I mentioned earlier.
Seamus Casey, great move there. Shot on goal, just misses.
And once again, I'd like to point out just how important Casey is to offensive movement, even as a defenseman. Even the play that came off the goal, it came from Casey opening up the offense with those darting runs down the ice.
That was Rowe who had that shot attempt. Edwards is going to try to push this puck up here. Gets slapped away there by the Skyhawks. Number 2, Greg Gapchin, who's been having a great game for himself. Gapchin, a sophomore. Doylestown, Pennsylvania. It's 3 goals and 8 assists on the year. 11 points. One of the better players on the Skyhawk team. And here we go, another face-off. Wolverines win that one again. And Hull's just going to push that one all the way up the ice. Skyhawks gather behind their own net. They're going to try to bring it up.
Now,
And a great hit there from Japchin. And the Hawks pushing it up. Currently power play for the Skyhawks. We missed that call. Our apologies. Edwards is going for another tripping minor. So still 1:30 left in that power play. Michigan already did a great job killing that first power play earlier. And should do the same thing here.
and if you just take a look at the advanced statistics, the Wolverines aren't a team that's penalized super often. Their leader in penalty minutes is Jacob Truska.
And another goal for the Skyhawks on the power play. That brings it up 2-1. The Skyhawks team came out with a vengeance for the day.
And
that goal there was I believe, number 19, Frank Ireland.
And I think it's quite appropriate that Taylor Swift's Brad Blood plays over the announcements. It seems as though the Wolverines have problems, and we need to see if they can solve them.
So far, it's been a very rocky day, especially for Noah West. Doesn't get a bunch of playing time in the net. Let up 2 goals in the first period.
And that was just one of those.
Excuse me, that goal was number 12, Connor Rane. But Michigan's going to challenge this one. So Connor Rane has the goal for now.
And that was one of those fast breaks that the Wolverines just were not able to anticipate. I think this Wolverines defense is a defense that works more when they have more ample time to keep the puck out of their own half. And that's something that's been clear here today. When they have 4-5 men in the back half, they're fine. But it doesn't seem like they're able to change their formations up on the fly, and that's where we resulted in the potential goal.
Absolutely.
Both sudden, unexpected breakthrough.
Both goals have come from that so far. Yeah, it seems like Michigan struggled, not just in this game, but kind of all year long. Whenever they get on that defensive 1-on-1, 2-on-2s, they really struggle with that. We saw this also earlier this year against Providence when the first game of the season, the game they won at home, where they were up like 5-2 with only a couple minutes left, but all of a sudden, Providence broke a couple of 1-on-1s and all of a sudden made it a 5-4 game with a minute to go, and Michigan had to hold on to win what was not 10 minutes before that a blowout. But Michigan is now currently challenging an offsides call on that goal. They're claiming that Ronane was offsides. Ref's still in the booth reviewing it. But whether or not this call gets reversed or not, it's still a big shake in the confidence of Noah West. Especially when Barczewski has done so good this year. Noah West, assuming to get some opportunities against a team that Michigan, after last night's 12-4 demolishing, thought they'd just be able to run right through, but the Skyhawks proven they're not going to go quietly into this night. They're going to make Michigan work for it. They're already putting Noah West to the test. So far, he has not done his best.
Yes, absolutely. And the Skyhawks, like I've said, they have a talent for boxing the Wolverines into their own half of the court. It's something that they definitely need to avoid because it's happened on multiple occasions where the Wolverines just cannot adjust to a quick change in offensive movement.
Fortunate. And he was offside, so that is going to be a no-goal call. Gets reversed, so it stays at 1-1. But just the fact that the Stonehill Skyhawks got the opportunity, just the fact that was a possibility is not a good sign.
And obviously West can't be blamed too much for defensive lapses, but at the same time, note that his saving motion seems to be very statuesque. He seems to rely heavily on his size to keep pucks out, and you don't see a lot of movement. You haven't seen a lot of agility within the goal.
The senior out of Pittsburgh, Indiana, played at Robert Morris before coming here. And right now sitting behind Barczewski. Hope maybe to change some of that today, but it's not happening. Back to 1-1, 3:30 to go in the first period. So the penalty, the power play is still on for the Skyhawks. Edwards still sitting in the box. Michigan's able to get a steal on breakaway here. Dylan Duke has a breakaway shot, but blocked by the pads. Fitzpatrick hit a knee and blocked that one off. But one of the best fast break chances Michigan's had all day.
And the problem was Duke had to essentially take that on his own. He didn't get any support, and he's in fact standing far ahead of any potential Michigan support that he could have had. As a result, he had to take the shot maybe a little sooner than he anticipated it, and it bounced off.
Skyhawks gathering the puck on back ice, pushing it up now. Granda pushing it up, but meets a gaggle of Wolverines and gets that puck taken from him.
Gaggle.
10 seconds left on the power play.
Gaggle, that's a fun word.
Love me a good gaggle. 5 seconds till the power play is done. Stonehill still trying to make something happen. Not quite there, and they're just going to wait for this to die out. Line change coming in. And still Stonehill just holding it back in their territory. 2:12 to go. Shifsky steals that pass. Going to try to drive up. Pass it great there to Hughes. but gets poked away. A little scramble for it. Holtz comes away, flips it over to McGroarty. Excuse me, not McGroarty. He's flipped it to Ernisi, excuse me. Tyler Duke now gets that puck back, trying to fight with the Wolverine. Ernisi now is going to push it up. And he loses it. Was fighting back there for a second.
And just now, Duke was behind to sweep that behind his own goal. You haven't seen too much of that from the Wolverines, and I think that does reflect a lack of control, but at the same time, I don't understand what the insistence is on simply trying to play it right from the goal. Like, there hasn't been a lot of playing it behind the goal and just kind of creating more time for yourself. As we get a nice little maneuver from Truscott there.
Little collision happening. Hughes now trying to make some magic happen. Guarded by Hastings, just slapping at him. Tried to get it up to Dylan Duke, but came a little hot. Couldn't quite bring it in, but Ernisi's there. Gets back control of it. Tries to flip it back to Edwards, but a little bit out of position. So Warren's going to go all the way back behind the net to secure this one. Pushing up the center here. 1 minute to go in the first period. McGroarty trying to dive around Deke, but gets hit, loses it. No foul. Seamus Casey gets control of it back around the blue line. Working around. Shot on goal, but blocked there by number 8, Cam Mannion. Stonehill now trying to push up a little bit, but Casey again gets control of that loose puck. Pushes it up there to Dylan Duke. Flips over to Moldenhauser. Shot on. Oh! Duke was trying to get to Moldenhauser right by the crease, but just missed it. Pass went through. And now Skyhawks pushing down.
It was a well-taken pass. It was just the positioning of Moldenhauer made things a little inconvenient there. And also the Skyhawks defense, which has been very strong. Even now you see their defensive line is fully locked in, and you have a fourth man immediately rushing out to clear that.
Nazar tried to flip the other side of the ice, but someone dropped their stick, and the stick actually blocked the puck's path going around the boards. Great steal there from Brindley around center ice, but runs right into Ireland. As that brings to the end of our first period, 1-1. It was been a surprising showing from the Skyhawks and a disappointing showing from the Wolverines, as these teams are knotted up at the first intermission. 1-1, 2 goals. First one was scored by the Skyhawks. Henry Schreffiels put it in around 16:20, assisted by Frank Ireland, Dean Schweniger. And then at 5:56, Michigan tied it up. TJ Hughes, assisted by Rucker McGroarty and Gavin Brindley. Interesting first period.
Absolutely, yes. And I outlined a lot of the issues that I had with the Wolverines throughout the game, but I'll reiterate some of them again. For starters, I think the spacing has been an issue. This was something that they cleaned up towards the end of the period, but at the start there was a lot of playing way too close to the borders, just leaving way too much narrow space that they could have narrowed in on, that they could have closed in on, but that they just didn't. Now, secondly, another issue that I had was the quality of shots. I think a lot of shots were just taken from outside the blue line. They were just slap shots that weren't really focused or directed. It was just more, let's clear the puck, let's dump the puck without getting an icing penalty.
And especially when you consider, Michigan, one of the top teams in the country, coming off of a Frozen Four appearance last year where they were projected to win it before getting shocked upset by Quinnipiac. And this year having a lot of great wins over teams like Minnesota, over Notre Dame, Ohio State, a lot of these really good top-tier programs. And all due respect to Stonehill, they're not a top-tier program. So I think, and especially after yesterday's 12-4 dismantling, expecting Michigan to come in today and just kind of take care of business again. But yeah, you've not seen the kind of the one-on-ones, the fast breaks that you've seen from this Wolverine team before and earlier this year. But yeah, there's not been many offensive opportunities. So I was wondering what changes might be made in this first intermission.
And like I said, I don't think there's been as much cohesive build-up play as the Wolverines would like. Because you'll see a lot of times, I want to point out to that fast break by Dylan Duke somewhere in the latter half of the first period where Duke was essentially forced to carry the puck by himself. Yes, he put up a weak shot, but at the same time, are you really going to put up a strong shot when you have no one to potentially parry it for you, and when potentially slapping the puck could potentially result in another Stonehill fast break? I think a lot of the issues here have been team issues rather than one player's lack of performance. Like I mentioned, being somewhat frustrated with Noah West's lack of agility in goal, but at the same time, is that really something that you could ask him to change when he's just not being given enough time to parry the puck outward, when there's just the defense being boxed in and not being allowed to do more? I think it's more of a strategic shift and I think the Wolverines, to their credit, they've changed things up. They've switched in lines regularly throughout that first period. They used a ton of different players, and I'll say I think the Brindley-McGroarty duo, when they're on the ice, just plays off each other very, very well. And I think something like that is needed because it's proven that just these open slap shots aren't really working, and you just need someone who's good at getting down there, who's good at setting up other players, and that's why I think, in addition to Brindley and McGroarty, you're going to need to see a lot more from Seamus Casey. We mentioned his speed, we mentioned his ability to make those darting runs into the opponent's box, and something like that just really opens up the attack. You know, there's a little bit more security when you have an extra man coming up there, you know, because you know there's somebody who could parry off a shot or play you up for an assist. And at the same time, you have a big physical defenseman who can get in there, who can separate the puck, and who can clear things out if things start to get a little ugly.
Yeah, Seamus Casey leads the team with a plus 13 when he's on the ice. And it's whenever you watch, it's very clear to see that leadership and that comfort coming from him. Just the way that he's able to control the puck when he pushes it up. He's always in position, and he very rarely, you're seeing him get overwhelmed, seeing him get out of position or anything like that. But talking about Noah West, the last time he got any minutes was back on December 1st at Notre Dame, where he played for one period in the 1-6 loss that Michigan had there. His last full game in the net was versus Linwood on the 27th of October. So Noah West really does not get in to see the ice a lot, and especially with the schedule coming up, he may not see it again the rest of the year. So this was supposed to be his probably one last best chance at playing an entire game this year. And the score is only 1-1, but only because another Stonehill goal got called back because of an offsides. Noah West still let that shot in. Yeah, he was offsides, but that doesn't change the fact that was a second shot that you let in the net. Especially with Michigan not being able to create shots and create goals the same way they were able to last night. I wouldn't say you're afraid, but you're starting to wonder if this could be one of those games just gets out of hand for Michigan. If they come in and Stonehill gets another goal within the first couple minutes of the second period, and Michigan has to play from behind again against the Stonehill team, which, again, like we mentioned, is 0-21 on the year. These guys are hungry for their first win. And if you could do it to the Michigan Wolverines in Yost just days after the football team won that champion, the whole campus is flying high, and you come in and you stomp the hockey team into the ground, that's something you can put on the mantle for the rest of your lives. Is, hey, we might have not done much, but at least we did this. And something that's all you need for a team like Stonehill, who has no expectations, who isn't supposed to do anything. That's all they need to come and make some magic happen.
Now, one thing I've noticed about Noah West is he seems to play almost inched into his own goal. Like, a lot of times you'll see hockey goalies who do play a little outside of the goal, obviously not playing necessarily as like an extra defenseman or anything, but just kind of using the entirety of the box. West doesn't exactly do that for whatever reason. He just sort of inches into his own goal. And yes, it's good to use the frame of your body to just kind of block out any potential shots, but at the same time, you're denying yourself the flexibility that would come with maybe moving a few paces out. So maybe that's something that needs to change in the second and third period. We need to see West play slightly outside of his own box, or just use more of his own box rather than inching back into the net.
I think it does go kind of to that comfort thing we are talking about. Like, yeah, that lateral mobility of where, like, Barczewski, you'll see, like, he will come a little bit out onto the edge of the crease to scare off a shot, to take a little more, because when you do take that step, even though it is a little bit riskier to the back door, if someone's closing and you go and meet them, you actually become bigger in relation to the net and leave them with less opportunities to get it through. But he just seems, so far, he seems a little bit unwilling to take that extra step out into the action to make his presence known a little bit more. But this Michigan defense is going to have to do a lot to help kind of combat that as we go through with this game. And who knows, maybe we're talking all this doom and gloom, and it was just one lucky shot, and he locks up for the rest of the game. We have nothing to worry about. Unfortunately, we can't really do that because that first period was such honestly a disappointment for, I think, Michigan fans out there who are expecting to see this team look good in what's essentially a tune-up game before, again, like we talked about earlier, this schedule gets dense in a hurry. With Michigan State, with Ohio State, with another matchup against Wisconsin. These are all top-tier teams. If they're not ranked, these are all top-scoring offenses, really good players across the board. teams that you don't want to come in playing uneasy against. If you walk into go to East Lansing or the Duel of the D, which is coming up in about a month's time, and you show up in an environment like that, and you're not ready, and you come out a little slow, and you get your teeth kicked in, it's not going to be one goal from a Stone team. It's going to be 2 or 3 goals from a Michigan State team or from an Ohio State team. So I think Michigan really needs to figure this out and put a stomping to Stonehill just for their own peace of mind, to know that they can do it to a team that they are leaps and bounds better than.
Yeah, absolutely. And even last night when they got the statement, they still let up 4 goals, which I've mentioned. There's a concerning amount of defensive fragility, and this team is not defensively not talented. I just think they do suffer a bit from how attack-heavy their approach is. Like, this is a team that scores a ton of points. I can't tell you exactly at the moment, but I'm sure they're very high at the top of scoring charts in the nation. And even when you see players like Casey, who I've talked about many times, like Warren, like Fantilli, a lot of them don't just really sit back. They're all pushing forward. They're all involved in the attacks. And I do think that's maybe where the defensive philosophy of this team takes a backseat in a bit. I guess maybe they're going with the whole attack is the best defense approach. But at the same time, you will need to switch gears quickly. And I don't know if this team has been able to do that tonight. They just, like, you've noticed that they seem quite exposed on fast breaks, and obviously they're not easy to defend against. But at the same time, there should just be a little more moving in sync, which I haven't seen a lot of. You mentioned earlier that the game had been played more on the boards than it had on the ice, and that did change, yes. But at the same time, it's not a good sign when you have a team that's playing almost cautious, almost scared against an opponent that they handily beat last night and that is yet to win a game.
Absolutely. About 3.5 minutes ago here in the first intermission, you're here on WCBN Sports with Tim DeGrand on the call along with Vihaan Easwar. Again, supposed to be joined by Noel Bensi, but unfortunately out with a broken arm. So kids, make sure you're drinking your milk so it doesn't happen to you as well.
We just hope that Noel will be reactivated from injury report in short time.
Of course.
We trust that she will.
Hope so too. Let's take a quick look around the college hockey landscape. A couple of big games going tonight. Number 1, Boston College and number 9, Providence are battling out. They're also in the first intermission. Boston College up 1-0 over Providence. Also going on, number 2, Boston is going up against New Hampshire right now. A 0-0 tie early in the third period. That could have some big implications for Boston, who's looking to keep pace with Boston College as we go out. North Dakota also in action against Omaha. That score is tied at 0s going into first intermission, as well as Quinnipiac Princeton also tied at 0s in their first intermission. Western Michigan, actually number 10 Western Michigan down 2-1 at the first intermission there. And Cornell and Arizona State battling it out 18 versus 11. Cornell up 2-0 in the first intermission there. And it looks like up next to that, Minnesota is in the last couple of minutes of tying up a 4-1 victory over Robert Morris.
Now, it's funny you mentioned Notre Dame earlier. Do you want to know an interesting fact about Stonehill and Notre Dame?
Hit me something with Stonehill and Notre Dame.
Stonehill and Notre Dame are sister schools, actually.
Really?
And Stonehill's engineering majors spend their last 4 semesters of undergraduate education at the University of Notre Dame.
Wow. Look at that.
And they're linked because they were both founded by the Congregation of Holy Cross, which is a Catholic religious congregation founded in 1837 in Le Mans, France. So, when you're eating dinner tomorrow with your family, kids, tell that to your parents. Tell them you learned something from WCBN Sports, and maybe they'll let you listen to more calls.
It must be something about South Bend then, because like I said, last time Noah West played was against Notre Dame at South Bend. Stonehill coming from right next door to them, giving them some fits early goings here. So interesting connection there. Didn't know that. Thank you, Mr. Vihaan, for always bringing in the fun facts of these broadcasts. 1 minute to go in this intermission, and the team retakes the ice. Of course, teams will be switching nets now, so we'll actually be able to see the Michigan side a bit more. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Yost architecture, it's these big steel scaffolding on the roof. And because WCBN, we are the student-run radio network, we're kind of sit a couple tiers below BTN, other bigger channels. So we get stuck right next to this massive conglomeration of scaffolding. So we're kind of blocked slightly. I have to dangle myself fully over the glass to see the side.
And Stonehill's motto is actually looks at best, which translates to light and hope. And I think they're feeling a fair bit of both of those things tonight. You know, obviously there's a lot of light coming from the architecture of the stadium itself. And they're feeling a fair bit of hope with their spirited defensive effort in the first period, as we're about to bring you into the second period.
Second period about to go underway. It's going to be Nazar and Schweniger with the first face-off, and it's going to be batted around a bit. It's going to get knocked back behind the Michigan net. Truscott's there for it. Kicked away, but coming away with it is Nazar. Tries to get it up to McGroarty, but not quite. Stonehill getting back control of it, pushed along the boards. LaRusso gets control of it, going to push it up there to Schreifels, but loses that puck. It's going to go back to Wolverines. McGroarty pushing it up.
We finally saw a bit of agility from Noah West on that save there. Just he sort of stuck his body out, used his arm, just made a smart bit of movement rather than just waiting for it to be batted down. I think you like to see a little more activity from goalkeepers in hockey. Obviously, it's not easy with the amount of heavy equipment that they wear, but it can be a massive asset.
Ernest coming all the way in, but that puck is eaten up there. Ernest literally jumped over the bench right into the action, grabbed the puck, and had a great run at the net. Both challenged along the way as he was going. Some great defense there from number 27, Cam Collins. So we're going to get a face-off in front of Fitzpatrick, who's in the net for the Stonehill Skyhawks. Victory goes to the Wolverines. Seamus Casey brings it in. Oh, Dylan Duke tries to wrap it around, but Hughes gets the rebound and puts it in for his second goal on the day. 1 minute into second period, and Michigan finally takes a lead in this one, putting some of that worry in the Wolverines fans' hearts to rest for a second. Dylan Duke had a great wraparound shot there that got deflected off, but went right into the hands of the top goal scorer, one of the top goal scorers for this Wolverine team, who puts it away from only a few feet out. It's a great move from Fitzpatrick to block the first shot, but unfortunately it was just too far out of position for the quick rebound of TJ Hughes.
Now, in addition to Hughes' abilities to both score and assist, I'd like to point out that he's one of the top face-off takers in this team, and that he's consistently getting on the end of those very physical challenges.
Hughes getting great, taking advantage of opportunities there. Michigan won that face-off, and they've controlled it in Skyhawk territory for the entire 30 seconds since that goal. Hughes has back in the corner, kicks up to Casey. Casey over to Tyler Duke. Tyler with a nice shot, hits his brother on the shoulder. I don't know if he was trying to pass to him. That puck was flying through the air, was trying to get to that top corner. Instead, hits his brother in his top corner. Estapa driving in, flips it over to Shifsky, and Shifsky gets that puck tipped up over the safety net, out of bounds.
Now, you haven't seen a lot of those aerial. You don't see a lot of those aerial tips, I think, because there's a fair bit of danger associated with them, especially as a lot of talk manages to circulate over the necessity of neck guards in hockey. So I think you see teams trying to avoid those aerial tips, but there's something to be said about them.
Today's safety lesson brought to you by Vihaan Easwar.
Yeah, we're a neck guard. If you're playing hockey, we're a neck guard.
We're neck guards. Estapa and Heath battle there for the face-off, won by the Wolverines. Puck gets back across the blue line. Everyone retreats for a second. Holtz in control of it, guarded by Allen. Gets over to Warren. Warren kind of loses it for a second. Allen gets it back, gives up to Heath. Again, getting stuck with it in there is Holtz. Battling with Campione. And eventually it's going to be Hastings for the Skyhawks. Just flips it down the ice, clears it out, gives them a second change lines. Michigan controlling the puck behind their own net for making their move. Great block there by Allen to steal that pass. Skyhawks getting it on the far side, but a great pick there from Holtz. Gives it over to a stop on the far side. Puck follows around the board to the other side. Shifsky gets it, wraps around, tries to loses the puck, doesn't quite get his shot that he wants. Fantilli gets the rebound though. Tries to flip it over. Michigan still in control of the puck.
And once again, Stonehill haven't really broken their organization just yet. They're a team that does a lot of coordinated movements and sync, that they definitely close off those close spaces the way Michigan seemed to struggle with today. They're not giving up. And even though they've conceded a goal, they're still trying to stay away from conceding more. And earlier I mentioned that that Stonehill was out shooting Michigan early in the game. Michigan has overtaken them in shots with 12-11 now. And yes, maybe there's still a bit of concern over the efficiency of the shots. Michigan have put themselves in the lead now.
2-1. It's going to be a face-off right in front of the Skyhawk goal on that after that icing call. Michigan, one of the best scoring offenses in the nation, 3rd overall with 4.2 goals per game, only behind Quinnipiac and Denver, who are 2-1 respectively. Michigan was pushing there, got a shot on goal, but they got called for an offsides before that.
And that was by defenseman Ethan Edwards, which kind of illustrates the point that I was trying to make earlier about this team being very attacking in philosophy, even for the defensemen. You'll notice the defensemen definitely try to take the puck up a lot. And this hasn't really been the case with Stonehill tonight, who play a little more conservatively. But with Michigan, it's a key part of their game, and I think it both adds an element of unpredictability and leaves them open to vulnerability on fast breaks.
Well, so yeah, Michigan not very highly rated scoring defense, about 36th in the nation when it comes to scoring defense. A lot of it is thanks to their rigorous schedule, but Skyhawks can get a fast break opportunity here, one-on-one, but great defense there from the Wolverines. Edwards making it all the way back, put his body on the line. Chased him down from basically the whole ice. Poked it away and kept it, and it's going to be right back at it, though. Cameron Gaudet had a drive there. Good shot, but a great save there from Noah West. It's a good shot by Gaudet. Had a lane, but Gaudet just ate that one. But West ate that one up. So it's going to be another face-off right in front of the Wolverine goal. It's going to be Schweniger versus... All right, who's going to do it? Hughes is going to do it. Schweniger versus Hughes is going to be it. And Hughes is going to win that one. Gets it to a stop-up, pushes it up, trying to get to Dylan Duke. But Schweniger retreating. No, that's Schiffels, excuse me. Swipe that one now. Fighting for it in the corner. Tyler Duke's going to get it back, pushing it up the ice, trying to get to Ernesi or his brother. But great defense there from the Skyhawks.
Yeah, I think Michigan they've been clean tonight, but I think there were also a couple of hits that they did get away with. There were a couple of uses of contact that I thought could have been called as a penalty, but were ultimately just smart use of the body. But
only penalty so far have been a couple tripping, but we may be getting another one now. And Schweniger had hit the ice hard and was holding his head for a second. No one is going to the penalty box, so it looks like that was clean. Instead, it's just going to be a face-off near center ice. It's going to be a Stoppa versus Heath. Wolverines are going to win that one. Trying to get it up, trying to push it. Edwards got it. No, it's Warren, Warren pushing it up. Trying to get a shot there, but great block from Fitzpatrick. Laying the pads down.
On topic of Michigan on penalties, Michigan on the year has slightly fewer minutes than their penalty minutes than their opponents. Michigan has 252, and all of their opponents have 267. But Michigan has also earned 92 penalties compared to 91 for their opponents.
Stonehill keeping control of the puck, trying to make something happen. Heath tries to flip it up, but gets rocked by Warren. Both of them have to hit the deck and take a second to get back up. Chaos around the net, but Noah West without 3 good blocks there. Somehow keeping that one out. That puck got lost amongst the bodies in the crease. But Noah West had the whole time, kept that out of his realm. And again, clears that one. Puck came right by him. He shoots that one right back out. 2-1, under 15 to go in the second period. I have not updated the scoreboard yet. That should say second period. Why did no one remind me?
That's gonna be a nice save by Noah West to deny the goal for the Skyhawks.
Noah having a great couple of minutes here in the goal.
I think you heard what I said about him sort of playing a little stiffer, sort of within his own net. I think somehow that criticism got picked up and carried all the way down to the stadium, and he listened because there's been some great athletic plays, almost like moving like a soccer goalie.
That puck was stuck against boards for a long time, but Michigan comes away with it. No West had 3 saves in the last minute of play. We're at 13:30 now, still 2-1. A line change for the Wolverines. The Skyhawks try to push it up all the way from behind their net up to mid-ice, but they maintain control of it after some great challenge from the Wolverines. Puck goes to Wolverines. McGrory's got it. One-on-one shot, but deflected by the leg of number 7, Gaudette. Scott's going to try to run now, but Tyler Duke, again, coming in straight over the boards and right into the action and immediately making the stop. Puck flies out into the Skyhawk bench, so it's going to be a stoppage. We're going to get a face-off near mid-ice. 2-1, 13:10 to go. Michigan's still leading, but if you're a Michigan fan, you're kind of hoping to see Michigan maybe score another goal or two, start making this, get a little bit of space between you and a scrappy Jayhawk team. Skyhawk team, excuse me. Saying no Kansas.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I've noted is that a couple of key players haven't necessarily done as much as they could tonight. I think one that comes to mind is Frank Nazar, who's been quite quiet by his own standards, as have both Gavin Brindley and Rucker McGrory. I think you've had TJ Hughes pick up a lot of the slack with just a fantastic game so far on all fronts of the ice, but at the same time, you want to see a little more from some of your star players.
Absolutely. As that puck flies all the way down to the Skyhawk side, Michigan trying to make a little bit happen here, but Scott's keeping control of it. The interesting thing about Frank Nazar is like you mentioned, he is one of the better players on the team. He gets a lot of time. He somehow sits at a -4 on the year, which is about second worst on the team. A lot of other, Casey's got a +13, Brindley's got a +11, so it's not like a purely lineup thing, but it's interesting to see how much he contributes, but still ends up with a minus from his time on the ice. Another shot on goal from the Skyhawks goes wide. And Michigan trying to push up a little bit, and Ernisi just kind of flips this one out so they can get a little shift change.
TJ Hughes has been everywhere on the ice tonight. He's really just going in and trying to win those challenges. He is maybe not the most physically imposing player, but he's really good at using his physicality and his strength.
Hughes a little frustrated that he didn't get a good shot after on that trance. He had a window, didn't quite get to. West smothers that puck as it gets near him. So just a shade under 12 minutes in the second period. Still 2-1. We're going to get face-off to Noah West's right. Heath versus Nazar. And Nazar wins that one. Warren fighting for it. Gets it over to Rowe. McGrory pushes up to Nazar. Nazar taking it. Trying to go one-on-one. But great defense there from Tripp, number 44 for the Skyhawks. Big hit there from McGrory, getting the puck back to the Wolverines. Rowe's got it up near the top, flips it over to Brindley. Brindley shot on goal and snagged by Fitzpatrick. Like he's Ken Griffey Jr. out there in center field, snatches that puck up in an instant. 11:32, 2-1. A great shot there from Brindley, but very quick reaction from the goalkeeper Fitzpatrick.
And it was a good quality shot from Brindley. It was just that it was angled slightly upward. It was going to be saved. It was going to be saved, or it was going to miss because it was just angled vertically. But it was a good, strong shot.
Excuse me, guys. I apologize. I realize I've not been updating the scoreboard as much as I should. It is 1-2. Has been for a while. And Michigan now. A big collision on the far side. So it looks like Truscott got kind of tied up there with Cam Collins on a fast break. They both hit the board hard after a whistle. Looks like the call will be an icing call.
I think icing's a strange penalty because a lot of times you can't really tell if it's incidental or not simply due to the nature of it.
Either way, face off on the Skyhawks side. McGrory's got it near the line, near the goal line, doesn't quite get it in though. Truscott again trying to get that puck. Flips it all the way around the board. Nazar's going to corral it. He's going to try to flip it up to Fantelli. But Fantelli misses it. It's going to be a fast break chance for the Skyhawks. Grinda had a good look but didn't quite get it. Shot there. Doesn't go. Another great block. Gaudette had the shot. Noah West is starting to come into his own in the goal there. Puck is stuck in the corner, battling for it. It's a whole group of players. Truska comes flying in, trying to get control of it. Still tied up and spits out to Brindley. Puck goes up the side. McGroarty gets control of it. Gets a shot again, but another great snag there from Fitzpatrick. His second in a row. Was pretty far away. McGroarty knew he was covered, wasn't going to be able to get a good shot close to the goal, so he took the one that he had from near the boards. That's another great grab by the goalkeeper, Fitzpatrick. Gavin Fitzpatrick out of Bridgewater, Massachusetts.
And I think one thing that the Wolverines have done better in this period is that they have utilized the space better. There's been a lot less playing off the boards, a lot less use of the ice. A lot more use of the ice.
Face off there, Estapa wins it. Dylan Duke's going to try to work his way around. Tried for the Michigan. Excuse me, that was Seamus Casey who was trying for the Michigan. Didn't quite get it. Big hit against the boards.
Almost looked like a check there from Casey. He's got to be a little careful about that.
Bit puck keeping its way around the boards. Edwards reverses its course. Campione runs around, gets it back. Just to flick it back. But Michigan gets control with it at the end.
The way the score is sitting right now, I would say that Stonehill would feel better at the end of this game than Michigan would, because Stonehill would only take a 2-1 loss against one of the best teams in the country, whereas Michigan would struggle to comfortably win against an opponent they beat comfortably last night, and it would underlie a lot of the issues of this team where they've been stuck in a lot of close wins. They really haven't been dominant at any stretch. My mind calls back to a very early season game against Providence in which they were up 5-1 and which they ended up losing 5-4, which I believe me, Tim DeGrand, and Kobe Siegel were on the call for.
Me, you, and Kobe, who, we thought that game was all wrapped up, and all of a sudden Providence started hitting a couple goals late. Michigan had to hold on at the end instead of just sliding to a blowout.
The same way they lost the shootout against Ohio State on October 21st, I believe. Then there was the Minnesota game, which they were leading for a period of time, but ended up losing 4-3. It just goes to show that this team, yes, it wins, yes, it scores points, but do they dominate? Not necessarily, unless it's against struggling opposition. And in this case, they have a team that they should be beating comfortably, and they aren't.
Icing call there. It's going to go back to the Skyhawks side for a face-off. 8:56. Just a shade under 9 minutes left in the second period. 2-1. Michigan still up. Both teams even at 15 shots. Michigan was just able to capitalize on one extra. Face-off is won by Hughes. Michigan controlling the puck in the half court. Shot there by Fantilli by Dylan Duke, gets deflected. TJ Hughes gets it, tries to shoot it, doesn't quite. Try to get over to Duke, but miss again. A little bit of sloppiness there from the Wolverines with that close to the net. Didn't get a good shot on goal.
And we've spoken a lot about TJ Hughes. If you're curious about him, I believe some of my colleagues at the Michigan Daily wrote a very in-depth feature on him. So if you're interested in Michigan hockey, make sure you're keeping track with the Hockey Beat's coverage of them. They do probably more to cover the team than anyone else on the planet.
Shot from the blue line from Warren, just barely misses out. Great pass there from Fantilli, back to Warren, try to get just off the mark. Dylan Duke still maintains control of it, gets it back up to Warren. Warren by the blue line. Center ice, flips it up to Hughes, try to hit Hughes for a one time. Didn't quite get it. Hughes try to work it around, try to flip it back into the net, but that one gets swallowed up. Stoppage, and it's going to be another face-off. After a great couple of shots from the Wolverines, they got two good looks there. Fortunately, neither of them fell. 8 minutes to go, 2-1. Michigan still up. And yeah, Michigan is winning right now, but Stonehill did get a goal called back earlier for an offside call. I think it was Rainin had the goal, but was called offsides after the fact, after a Michigan challenge. And so even though Michigan is in the lead right now, you've got to imagine this team is itching to get another goal out there to really prove it and really start sticking it to Stonehill the way they did last night.
Stonehill have just been excellent defensively tonight. I don't think, yes, they've conceded 2 goals, but at the same time, their organization, the way they frustrate Wolverine shots, and even the way that they defend higher up the court by winning all of those challenges and kind of frustrating any attempted build-up play, I think that's been the strongest unit on display on the field tonight, to frustrate such a potent Michigan offense.
Quick break here in the second period. So the intermediate timeout stopping that. Returning to the ice now are all the players. We're going to get a face-off to Fitzpatrick's left. Looks like it'll be Nazar. Going up against Collins for the Skyhawks. Oh, and a quick shot on goal there from Casey. About as textbook as you can get it. With Nazar winning the faceoff back to Brindley. Shot over to Casey on the opposite side for a goal. Didn't quite go, but McGrory's got a fast break here. Kicks it back to Casey. Spin move by Casey. Oh, but gets poked out by Japchin. A great defense there from Japchin to prevent what would have been a great look from Casey at point blank.
And Casey pretty much perfectly completes that turnaround. It's just that he loses control of the puck at the end.
Skyhawks now going to hold it behind the net for a second. Gather their bearings. Nazar's there for the pressure. Flips it up the ice to Collins. Collins gets over to Grada. Missed the puck. It's going to fly all the way behind Michigan's net. Michigan's going to get control of it. Brindley gets it back to Nazar. Nazar up to Shifsky. Shifsky tries to deke but gets it poked out again. And Sky's just going to clear that puck out. Edwards is going to gather it. Michigan, a little bit of collision there, but Shifsky still is able to come away with the puck. 1-on-2, shot on goal, and he gets it on the second attempt. The goal from Shifsky. Garrett Shifsky, the true freshman, buries his first goal of the night. It's 6:51 left in the second period. Was going down the ice 2-on-1, had two defenders on him. First shot got blocked by the leg. I'll tell you the leg that belongs to in a second to show the replay. It bounced right back to him, and the second one finds its way home. Looks like it was Campione and Karlstrom were both there with him the whole time. All the way through, and he hit. It was Karlstrom that he hit with a puck, but it bounced right back to him. I think Fitzpatrick got a little bit distracted by that first shot.
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of a bobble on the goal itself. It sort of bounced off Fitzpatrick's leg, but quite smart of Shifsky to take the shot where he did, to time it at the time where he could rely on the goalkeeper a bit to poke it in. And the crowd sings a little-known song known as Mr. Brightside. Maybe you've heard it. Doubtful. If you go to University of Michigan, you've totally never heard this before. But
And in fact, the crowd singing made it hard for me to hear the announcement for the penalty that's been called against the Skyhawks. Dean Schweniger, their starting center, is going to the booth. Got a 2-minute minor for hooking. So Michigan will have a power play here. Brindley shot on goal right to the chest of Fitzpatrick. Would have been the quickest power play in history if that would have made its way in, but unfortunately no dice. Michigan on the power play. Casey bringing it up. Flips it all the way back to Brindley. Brindley's going to drive it, gives it to Dylan Duke. Hughes on the far side. Haven't crossed the blue line yet, just do now. Duke gets it. Hughes gets it back to Duke. Flips it across the ice to McGrory. Back up to Casey, over to Brindley on the opposite side. Try to get it inside to Hughes, but great deflection there from the Skyhawks. Hughes looking. Gonna pass it back up to Brindley, back over to Casey by the blue line. Casey brings up, shot, goal! Casey, as they're announcing the previous goal in the loudspeakers from the blue line, Casey buries it right inside the right post for Casey's first goal of the day, and here's the Michigan team that we've been waiting for all night.
just an insanely powerful, insanely clean shot. That one didn't require a bobble. It wasn't necessarily flying at a very high, but at the same time, it got where it needed to go. It sort of hit the outside right post, and then just dipped down.
I think you gotta give the assist to Dylan Duke. There is an actual assist I'll get to in a second, but you gotta imagine there's gonna be a quiet assist to Dylan Duke, who's posted up right in front of the goalkeeper, distracting Fitzpatrick, which allowed that shot to get in. 4-1 now. I didn't even get a chance to update after the last goal. 4-1 in this matchup. 5 minutes ago in the second period. And Chrysler's coming alive after that last goal. Skyhawks have it, trying to get something happening in the Michigan side. But Michigan gets control of that puck and just flips it back down the ice. Plesky's there with them.
I think the smart way to avoid an icing penalty, just sort of play it out close enough where you could still theoretically have another stick get to it, but at the same time, not make it so obvious that you're just trying to flush it out of position. It's another smart way to get around the icing penalty almost.
So we got a couple updates for you with those 2 goals happening in such quick succession. 2 goals were just over a minute apart from each other. So the first goal there at 6:51 by Garrett Shifsky, assisted by Estapa and Edwards. The goal, that goal was technically gets credited to Dylan Duke, who tipped it in. The assist goes to Seamus Casey and Gavin Brindley. So we thought that goal was actually going to Seamus Casey, but technically Duke deflected it a little bit on its way in, so Duke gets credited with the goal.
Like we said, it's a little difficult to see what's going on with our angle, thanks to this absolutely wonderful monument.
It was also a bang play. It was a very quick happening there. So right now, Stonehill's trying to get some kind of response. There's been 4 unanswered goals since their early first goal. Remember, they scored not even 4 minutes into the game when they scored their first goal. But since then, it's been all Wolverines. 2 goals by TJ Hughes, 1 by Shifsky, and that last one to Dylan Duke. You get a face-off in front of the Skyhawk net to Fitzpatrick's left. Nazar versus number 48, Jake LaRusso, and that is won by the Skyhawks. We're getting it down, but Edwards gets control of that puck. Trying to get away up to Brindley. But some good positioning there from number 37, Kyle Heath. Puck kind of stuck in the corner for a bit. Few players fighting over it. Casey comes away with it, gets over to McGrory. McGrory tries to flip to Nazar. Nazar tries to get it into the crease, but McGrory was going to finish it, but it poked away before he could. McGrory had a shot at it, but some great defense there from Campione. Punched that puck out before McGrory had a shot. At the 3rd goal within a 2-minute span. 3:50 to go, 4-1, Michigan over Stonehill.
The puck definitely kind of hovered around there close to the net. It could have been poked in by someone, but at the same time, given Stonehill's defensive organization, they would have very likely been able to keep it out, simply by using the sides of their bodies.
Heath and Hughes with this face-off. Puck was dropped, but the ref blows whistle as if saying, whoops, I didn't mean to drop it like that. Don't know how my words are to drop a puck, but that's why you don't hear me too many hockey broadcasts. Anyways, Stonehill wins that face-off, and they're going to run. Heath tries to flip it up and over to Hastings. Gets it back out, though. Shot on goal by Japchin. Deflected by West. Stonehill Skyhawks regain control of it. Puck finds its way back behind Michigan's net. It's going to be picked up by Rowe. Rowe's looking to make a move with it, trying to run. Gets it to gets the Moldenhauer off the boards there, but whistle. So we're going to get face off at the near the center circle in front of the Michigan bench.
Michigan's shooting at a percentage of about 0.182, which is about in line with their average of 113. Well, significantly above their average of 1.113 on the year. But again, such measures may be inflated by statistics of players who maybe don't play too often. So,
face-off won by Stonehill. They go down, but gets stolen by Warren. We're going to get an icing call there, so we're going to get another face-off in a second. 3 minutes to go in the second period, 4-1.
And on efficiency, the top shooter on the team is Gavin Brindley, who's shooting .213. And off of that, he has 10 goals off of 47 shots.
Face off to no West's left. It's going to be Collins versus Kenan Draper. First time we've said his name today. Michigan bring that puck back around, gets it to Pletsky, tries to bounce it off the board. Rowe challenging. The Skyhawks handling it pretty well. Hit there from Plesky, knocks the puck free. Warren's got it. Warren's going to make a fast break here. Gets it over to Plesky. Plesky's shot deflected off Fitzpatrick, and he's going to eat that one up. Those look like there might be a chance for a second chance opportunity. But Fitzpatrick was able to eat that one up. So 4-1, 2:26 to go. And a great look there from Plesky. He had the shot, but a better job of Fitzpatrick to, even when he hit the deck, was able to maneuver over to the puck and cover it up to go to the face-off. It's going to be Estapa versus Jake LaRusso, the Skyhawks. Won by the Wolverines. Shifsky working his way around again. Pass back up to Truscott. Truscott by the blue line, tries to shoot it in, but gets caught up into chaos in front of the net. Ernest was kind of in the way there. Michigan trying to bring it up. Shifsky getting control of it behind the blue line. He's just going to launch it into the boards, going all the way around. Gets kind of stuck. All the players kind of lost it for a second. It's just spinning over in the corner. Michigan's keeping control of it. Puck gets behind the blue line. Michigan retreats. Estapa picks it back up. Flips it around the boards, and it's going to be a shift change. So the Skyhawks are going to get a chance to make something happen here, but immediately stolen back by Brindley. Casey reverses ice to McGroarty, who kicks it up to Nazar. Nazar loses it for a second. Gets it back over to Brindley. Pass into the middle to McGroarty, who's just wide right with his shot. Casey retrieves it, though. Casey flips his hips. Shot doesn't quite go. Tyler Duke gets it back over to Casey. Casey back to Brindley, kind of slip, misses it. Gets it around the back to Nazar. Nazar passes Tyler Duke. Tyler Duke shot high. Hits the glass. Stonehill's got a shot with it now. 1 minute to go. Tyler Duke over to Nazar. Nazar high and wide on his shot there.
And Nazar's been a little more involved in these last few minutes than he has been all game. He's gotten in. He's gotten a couple of shots off, and he's also gotten a little physical. He's gotten on the receiving end of some of the challenges.
I mean, like this period, especially the last half of this period, that possession specifically seemed more action as a great shot there from Nazar. Had a good opportunity, but was blocked. Was more action and more coherence in that offensive movement than there had been in all game up to that point. 30 seconds to go in the second period as we're going to get a face-off coming up.
And from the third period, the sides will switch again, which means we'll be back to bring you a much easier on the eyes view of the ice.
Puck made its way into the crowd there. Fans begging for him to hold it up. Face off in front of the Wolverine net, won by the Wolverines. 25 seconds to go. Wolverines got to try and make something happen here. Hughes has it, flips it up the ice. Jabchin's going to get it behind there. Michigan still pressuring. But Holtz is going to come back, pick up the puck right behind the net. 8 seconds. Probably going to get one shot here. Try to get to Moldenhausen. Missed it. And with that, it's going to tick away. No shots on goal to end the period. And with that, 4-1 ends a very exciting period for this Michigan hockey team. 4-1, 3 points and 3 goals in that period alone. Really starting to change the tide of this game and starting to make everyone in Crescent feel a little bit more comfortable about tonight's matchup.
And I think I mentioned a lot about the movement and just the narrowness and cohesiveness. I think another thing I want to mention is speed. I think the Wolverines have played a lot faster since going up in the game. I think they definitely were a little cautious earlier on. I do think part of it has to do with the injuries, they've sustained this year. They maybe don't necessarily want to risk more injuries. But now I think it's good to see the Wolverines just really playing like the team that you expect them to play, like the team they've shown that they can very well be on this season on several occasions. And
of the 12-minute intermission coming up. And Michigan, about time, kind of gathers themselves. Again, 3 goals in that period. Hughes had an even strength goal at 19 minutes, assisted by Dylan Duke and Josh Ernisi. 6:51 even strength by Garrett Shifsky, assisted by Mark Estapa and Ethan Edwards. And at 5:49 on a power play, Duke Dillon puts one in. This is by Seamus Casey and Gavin Brindley. That goal we originally attributed to Seamus Casey because it was such a just deflection of Casey's pass for Duke to get that one in that we thought it just went to Seamus, but a really slick move there by Duke to kind of help that puck along its way. But yeah, Michigan really starting to come into their own, has absolutely been dominating on the face-off side of things. Currently 34 face-off wins to only 10 for Stonehill. And
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where the Wolverines have started to use their physicality a little more to the extent that you just know that they can. Especially, it's notable from TJ Hughes, who I think I've emphasized this on many, many occasions, but he really is the best player on the ice tonight. He has been absolutely everywhere. Just getting on the receiving end of pretty much every challenge possible. Just, he's been fantastic tonight. And I really can't say more. As I said, some of my colleagues at Michigan Daily wrote a fantastic in-depth piece for him, so go ahead, check them out. Like I said, Michigan Daily Hockey Beat works harder than probably anybody else on the planet to cover this team. And if you're a fan of WCBN sports, which you really should be if you're spending your Saturday night with us, then you should also be a fan of Michigan Daily.
Do go check out Vihaan, the Michigan Daily. It's a wonderful publication. I fully had a train of thought that I lost. Oh, I remember it now. Noah West, we're kind of talking about him in the first period. He had a bunch of great saves in the second period, and so I went to go and see how many he had. He only had 6 saves the whole intermission. And I think why that number is actually so low, despite the fact that he had a lot of great plays, is because Michigan did a much better job in the second period than they did in the first of just keeping the puck on offense, keeping it on the Stonehill side of the ice, controlling whenever the puck gets loose. They get it first, they're controlling it. And because of that, they weren't allowing Stonehill as many opportunities. They only had 6 shots in the second period as opposed to 10 they had in the first. So they were really doing a good job of limiting Stonehill's offensive opportunities, which let the couple chances they did get, Noah West was a lot more prepared for those and really helped to make an impact there.
West was significantly more acrobatic in this period. There was a lot of times where he just kind of threw his entire body out there, used his hands, just kind of made use of his wingspan, and I think in a sport where goalkeepers aren't necessarily the most mobile, you know, this isn't soccer where you have goalkeepers sometimes like get out of their net and play as a 12th man. In hockey, goalies wear a lot of physical equipment. They are kind of not necessarily the most mobile players by default, which is why it is always a nice turn to see them get out there and really use their body. And we're going to bring you the NHL. We're going to bring you the college hockey recap as we did in the first period.
So yeah, as we're looking around again, some of these games have kind of wrapped up. For example, Minnesota officially closed in on that victory there, but looking around, Boston College has taken a 1-0 lead late in the second period over number 9 Providence. Number 3 Wisconsin and Linwood, who Michigan actually played a few weeks ago, are tied up at 1 with 5 minutes to go in the first period. North Dakota is taking a 1-goal lead halfway through the second period there. Number 5 Quinnipiac has a 1-goal lead over Princeton with just 3 minutes to go in the second. St. Cloud, number 14, St. Cloud, number 6, Denver has since started. They're about 9 minutes in the first. Neither team has scored yet. Western Michigan still down to unranked Miami, Ohio, 3-2 with just about 6 minutes to go in the second period. Keeping your eye on that one. Cornell's really pulling away from Arizona State right now. End of the second intermission, they're 3-0 Cornell over Arizona State. And UMass actually also down to an unranked team. UMass is currently losing 1-3 against Merrimack. Could not tell you where they're from.
Merrimack College, I believe. No, wait. Let me look this up. And while we're at it, maybe I'll bring you some interesting factoids about them.
Well, while you're looking for that, in non-ranked matchups, Notre Dame and Ohio State are tied at 2-2 with 15 to go in the second intermission. I think that game would be the Michigan hate game if there ever was one, if we had Notre Dame versus Ohio State. That's the Michigan hate game right there.
Absolutely, yes. When you think of Michigan's main athletic rivals, you have Ohio State, MSU, and this rivalry isn't maybe as prominent, I guess, to younger fans because of how infrequently it's played. There's a lot of bad blood between Michigan and Notre Dame. They are definitely Michigan's strongest rival outside of those two, strongest non-Big Ten rival. in pretty much every sport.
And final scores from earlier today: Michigan State beat Penn State 7-3 earlier today. Michigan State number 8 in the country, Penn State number 20. Michigan State is a really scary team this year, and that is who's next up for Michigan. After today's game versus Stonehill, next Friday they are in East Lansing for their first matchup against the Michigan State Spartans, and then the very next day they are right back here in Yost for a maze-out against Michigan State, and then a couple weeks after that play Michigan State again on the 9th here in Ann Arbor, and then on the 10th it's the Saturday night duel in the D. One of the better and probably one of the best hockey traditions to come within the last couple of years is this Michigan State duel in D game that happens, and especially with how good both these teams have been the last couple of years, it's always must-see TV. And you better believe WCBN will be there. It may not be me and Vihaan ourselves, but there will be WCBN presence there in the D.
I believe it is William Gregory, Kendall Spencer, and Jake Singer.
That is
three of the station's most.
That is about. I was going to say that is about as A team as you can get, especially William Gregory, the hockey expert within WCBN. Every Wednesday on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor, he has Wolverine Hockey Wednesdays, where it's just a half hour talking all things to Michigan hockey. They'll recap scores, look at the season, they'll interview players. I know a couple months ago they actually did their all-time Michigan hockey drafts. They had him and a couple of other people on there drafting their all-time Michigan lineups, which is a really cool thing to listen to. So if you're a fan of Michigan hockey, you can go to Spotify and search the Daily Sports Report by WCBN. You can find the Wolverine Hockey Wednesdays on there and listen to all those.
Yes, and I believe they also did a Michigan-focused NHL preview. They interviewed the Daily Hockey Beat, who I shouted out a few minutes ago. Just if you want to listen to Michigan hockey, I don't think there's another podcast as comprehensive. I don't think there's someone as knowledgeable as William Gregory.
And I see we also now have Noel Bensi in the chat. For those of you just tuning in, it was supposed to be Noel, me, Vihaan, and Noel doing the broadcast tonight, but unfortunately, Noel broke her arm while she was snowboarding out in Colorado over break. She had to have surgery, so she couldn't be here. We hope her better, but also this goes to prove that skiers are better than snowboarders, because if you were skiing, that wouldn't have happened to you. That's all I'm going to say about that.
As a very suburban kid from New Jersey who has never done either of those things, I'm not going to weigh in on that entire debate. But Noel, shout out to you for listening. You're here in spirit, you know.
About 4 minutes and 19 seconds to go in the intermission before we begin the third period. Michigan has taken control in the second period, 4-1, having 3 of those goals coming in the second period. The 4 unanswered goals to Stonehill after their getting that first on the board just about 4 minutes into the game. It's been all Michigan ever since then. It was a little bit sloppy in the early goings. Michigan had troubles getting anything going, but that second period, they really came alive, and they really started making some magic happen. And a couple of great goals. Of course, TJ Hughes, who else, leading the way, has 2 goals, converting on power play in the first period, and then even goal just a minute into the second.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, you mentioned earlier the duel in the new tradition. Detroit and the state of Michigan is hallowed ground for hockey. The weather makes it a sport that's very easy to be played. You have 2 very blue chip programs in Michigan and Michigan State. And then you have the Detroit Red Wings, one of the winningest and most prominent teams in NHL history. You know, hockey is a sport that has an interesting role in American popular culture, because I think a lot of us don't necessarily see it as our sport. A lot of us see it as more of Canada's sport. And there's some regions where it's just not ever going to break through. But I think if you're here, if you're at the state of Michigan, if you're listening to this call, I think you know just what the sport can bring that not all other sports brings. It's just a privilege to watch. It's a privilege to call. It's a challenging sport to call, yes, but the challenge makes it all the more rewarding. There's just always so much going on the ice. There's just such great fans, as pointed out by...
I think for me, my favorite thing about following collegiate hockey is that, you know, men's basketball and football are the big league for everyone. Like, they're the ones that everyone follows. We talk about ESPN, all that kind of stuff. And so you're used to hearing names like, you know, Alabama, Kentucky, Duke, Clemson, LSU, Arizona, like those being like the schools who are kind of like, you know, top tier, even like, you know, Purdue, Ohio State, Michigan State. And then you come over to hockey and you see Boston University is number 2 in the country. North Dakota is number 4 in the country. Quinnipiac is number 5 in the country. I didn't think Quinnipiac was a real thing. When I remember last year, I used to be in the marching band. I subbed for the hockey band on the trip to the Frozen Four. And I asked, like, hey, who are we playing in the Frozen Four? And someone said Quinnipiac. And I said, bless you, but who are we playing in the Frozen Four? He says, no, Quinnipiac. And I said, yeah, I know, bless you. Who are we playing? And it's like, no, they had to show me on a map where it was before I believe them. But yeah, and I think that even goes kind of to your point that hockey is big everywhere, but in the Midwest, in the Northeast, it's massive. So you get these really small, like these smaller schools like University of Maine, like Providence, like St. Cloud, like Colorado College in Denver. You get these kind of weird pockets of these schools who aren't known for anything else, but who are just powerhouses in the sport of hockey. And it's really fun to see and get that other side of, not just your, the SEC for football and, the Big Ten and ACC for basketball, that there's all these other cool little spots that you see and you get to like hear about when you cover and you follow hockey the way that we do.
Yeah, exactly. By consequence, it ends up being more of a Northeastern and a Midwestern school, which I know you're all very curious about this, about where Merrimack College is. They're in Massachusetts, which goes to show like Massachusetts is the big hotbed for hockey because you have UMass Amherst, both Boston College and Boston University are hockey powerhouses. They're from there, and
well, Merrimack looking to make some merry magic as they're still leading UMass, who Michigan played early in the year as well. Won the first game 7-2, but lost the second one 3-6 with a back-to-back there Friday, Saturday. And so Merrimack might be looking to stake a little claim there. The players have returned to the ice. 30 seconds left in the second intermission. No West, 15 saves on the day. The one goal allowed, the one goal that got called back, which looking back on the game now, if that goal got let up, we might be having a very different conversation right now because that was such a draining thing that happened when Michigan went down 2-1. That call got back, gave the team a little bit more fight, and they came back alive. And with that, players back on the ice, and we're going to begin the third period. Now puck drops, Stonehill wins it. Only their 11th faceoff win on the night. Stonehill gets tied up there a little bit. Sheriffs loses his stick with a collision from Edwards.
I believe that's Sheefish. Schriefels.
You see, most on this the play sheet we have, they give player pronunciations. They did not give his, but they did give Justin Barker's, which I don't think I needed that for Barker. But I digress. To the Scheifels family, I apologize for butchering your name all night. Your son has played magnificently. He's been one of the better players for this Stonehill team tonight. As Stonehill makes an offensive attack, that's Schwerniger having a good shot there, but not quite fallen.
The Wolverines playing some gritty defense here. You have Casey and Duke just lined up right inside the box, forming almost sort of protection for Noah West, and you have and you see a bit of a reflection of what Stonehill have been doing for most of this game.
We're gonna end up with a face-off here. After I believe it's another icing call, so we're gonna get face-off on the Michigan side, right to West's left. Just under 19 minutes ago, Michigan wins that face-off. Tyler Duke's got the puck just waiting behind the net right now, waiting for a line change to finish up. And Michigan is going to make their move now. Gets to Hughes near the mirror ice. Shifsky trying to push it on the side, misses the puck. Never really gets control of it, but Casey's right there to get control of it. And flings it outside. Thought he had someone, but no one was home. So it's going to be a nice little attack here from Stonehill. Michigan defending it well. LaRusso's got it near center, but great defense there from Dylan Duke. Punches that puck out. And Casey's got it now. Casey's going to try to run a little bit. Gets it up to Dylan Duke. Knocks it back to Hughes. Hughes center ice driving. Gets it back to his left. Dylan tries to get back to Hughes, but was slapped away by LaRusso.
And now I think you can see the complete change up for Michigan. You can see that they have the rhythm. They're closing off those spaces. They're passing in those tight windows to each other. I think they're a lot more comfortable in each other. They're comfortable in the lead, and now they're playing the best hockey that they have all game.
Hughes lost that one for a second. Stonehill capitalized. They got the puck on their half, trying to work it back through this defense. Passing back and forth, trying to make the way past center ice. Collins trying to get the pass there. Couldn't handle the pass. Lose it. Moldenhauer trying to fight on the left with Japchin. Hits the boards, gets stuck in the corner. bunch of players fighting for it. Comes away with it is Allen, who tries to get a big pass up, but doesn't quite handle it. Baker can't quite handle it. That puck gets slapped back by Japchin. Fantilli's going to come back and grab that one. Gets pushed from behind a little bit there, but no penalty called. Passes it up there to Nazar. Nazar over to Ernisi. Ernisi going to try to drive up. He's well guarded, so he just flips over the head. Gets his own pass, trying to fight with it. Bunch of players. 3 Skyhawks to 1 Wolverine in the corner. Skyhawks come away with it, trying to push it back down. Rowe corrals the loose puck over to Edwards.
I just want to talk quickly about Fantilli. I think he's one of the best players on this team at playing that puck deep. I think you won't see, he's not particularly attacking, although he is on this charge deep, but he's just really good at getting that puck out of danger and just keeping it deep in their own half.
Still pretty young, the sophomore at Nobleton, Ontario.
And his older brother, as we all know, one of the greatest players in program history, drafted to the Columbus Blue Jackets at number 3. The fact that he would, in any other draft class, he would have been regarded as the generational #1 prospect, but he was unfortunate to share a spotlight with the impeccable Connor Bedard.
Exactly. Noah West swallows that one up as the puck gets near him, so we're going to face off to Noah West's right in front of the goal. Nazar wins that face-off, beats Heath. We've seen Nazar do that a lot today. Brindley's taking it up the right. He flips over to McGroarty. McGroarty one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and Fitzpatrick swallows that one up again. McGroarty just trying to shoot a hole through Fitzpatrick's chest, but unfortunately for him, Fitzpatrick was a little bit stronger than that. So we're going to get a face-off to Fitzpatrick's right as each team makes a quick little line change. It's going to be Nazar versus Schwarniger. And Schwarniger wins that face-off. Puck is going to fly all the way down to the goal right next to Noah West. Tyler Duke's going to come all the way around. The younger brother has been making his presence known. Ooh, we had an icing call actually down there. Couldn't even hear the whistle, but that wasn't icing, so we do get a face-off on the Stonehill side. Face-off there just goes straight back to Fitzpatrick, and he smothers it, so it's going to be another face-off again. 16 minutes to go in today's game. 4-1, Michigan leading over Stonehill. Nazar back in the face-off circle against Schwarniger, and Nazar wins this one. Tyler Duke over to Brindley, over to McGroarty, who had a shot, but great deflection there from Carlson. Michigan still trying to work it around in the half court. Gets over to Brindley. Brindley dumps it off to Tyler. Tyler Duke loses the puck, and Stonehill's going to come away with it. Try to flip it up, but Brindley steals that right back. Michigan still got a chance. Other side to Casey. Casey just kind of dribbling it in, looking for a goal, but the cross isn't giving him one. Shot there doesn't quite go.
Again,
And the second set by Casey is picked out of the air by Fitzpatrick. Going to be face-off coming up.
Brindley is definitely someone who's had a quieter game day, although you could argue he just hasn't been able to do, he just hasn't been made to do much. You know, that McGroarty, Nazar, Brindley line, none of them have been particularly effective today, but at the same time, you've had the performance of the Duke, Hughes, Ernesti line, which I would argue has been the best on the night today.
Oh, absolutely. Hughes is going to come and take this face-off going up against Jake LaRusso. And Michigan comes away with it. Holtz is going to drive, take a shot, but couldn't make its way through the mess of bodies in front of the net. Michigan keeping possession of it, though. Got shot there by Warren. Block doesn't quite make its way through. Some great defense there of Dylan trying to fight along the whole way. Number 12, Connor Royan, who had the goal that got called back earlier in today's game. Dangerous play there, being so close to the net. Gaudet almost lost the puck into his own net for a second there, but had it. Michigan now on the offense. Shifsky tried to trace after it, didn't quite go. Fantilli comes in off the bench for a change. He's the only one that was close to the puck. Drives in all alone, gets it back up to Hughes. Hughes on the corner, flips it over, blue line. That's Kate. It's Truscott. Back over to Fantilli in the wing. Try to shoot it, but Allen was there to block it. It's going to be a fast break now. Shot on goal is snagged out of the air. Shot was by Justin Barker. And Noah West snags that in the big mitt.
And I'd like to note a marked improvement in Noah West goalkeeper. And I think ever since the first period, he has not been afraid to just kind of venture a little bit outside the goal. You know, I really haven't seen him use his feet as much. It's been more his hands that have been playing the game for him.
He seems a bit calmer back there. He doesn't look like he's kind of panicking as much as the puck is being driven up. He's handling himself very well. We're going to get Estapa facing off against number 37. That's Heath. Michigan wins that one. Fantilli just pokes it out, trying to get it out of the boards. Estapa's got it. 2-on-3. He's got Ernisi with him. Ernisi, excuse me. Ernisi's stuck in the corner with Campione. Gets it up to Edwards. Edwards trying to flip it over. Misses wide. Casey gets it right back. Shot on goal. Died down before it got there. Slapped away. We're going to get a face-off coming up. 13:45 to go. Michigan still leading 4-1.
The face-offs has absolutely not been an issue for Michigan tonight. Edwards, Estapa, and Hughes are traditionally some of the best face-off takers on the team.
Face-off coming again for Michigan with 33. Cannon Draper wins this one as Edwards is going to corral the puck on the opposite board. Shot there. Doesn't quite go. Tanner Rowe had a good look there. Didn't quite make it in. Great work there from Fitzpatrick. Plesky's going to get that steal. He's going to get tied up for a second with Barker, but they come away with it. Plesky's going to be running the course now. Good hit into the corner. We have a call from the ref. We're going to check what it is in a second. But at this point, Michigan's just mostly in time-killing mode.
Yeah, exactly. You've seen a lot of runs that aren't really designed to go anywhere. I think I'm trying to word this in a tactful way. I think someone who's particularly good at doing this is Fantilli. I think he's quite good at killing time and just making those runs into space that are just going to burn off the clock. We're already 7 minutes into the third period. I'm sure we'll be approaching the halfway mark soon. It's been a quick, fairly clean game of hockey on both sides.
So we had a couple of minors for tripping and hooking earlier in the game, but things have quieted down. Not too much chippiness. Stonehill trying to make a run with the puck here. Great defense there from Tyler Duke. So whistle's called. We're going to get another face-off coming back up.
And that one was on Moldenauer for a bit of a push on...
A little push from behind there.
On Schriefels.
Michigan wins that face-off. Puck goes flying around the boards. Gets picked up by Holtz. Back over Tyler Duke, waiting behind the net. Makes his move now. Loses the puck for a second right in front of the net, which is very scary. But Schweniger couldn't capitalize on it. Staba tried to pass it up to Brindley, but put too much on it. If he got to Brindley, it would have been a one-on-one. He would have had his way with it. McGroarty tries to turn around and get to Nazar just off the mark. Fantilli is going to be fighting with Galante all the way down until he pokes up to ice to Brindley. Brindley tries to get to McGroarty, but great defense there from Roynane. Brindley still working with it. Fantilli's got it right by the blue line, working his way to the wing. Pass it back to Brindley on the wing. Brindley's going to drive in, try to get it back to Warren for a shot. Not quite on the mark. Michigan retreat now, puck back over the blue line. Fantilli is going to grab it near his own goal. Gets it up to Warren. Warren tries to get it over to Shifsky. Shifsky back over to Dylan Duke. Dylan Duke a little bit off it. Couldn't. Oh, a great pass there up to Shifsky, but just off it. Shifsky was right at the goal, but it hit the post. Shifsky going to try again. Into the goalkeeper. Hughes was right there for a second chance, but missed it. He was just off balance and just missed the puck.
Both Duke brothers have been extremely strong on the court tonight. Tyler has definitely been key in defense, key in transition, and Dylan hasn't gotten himself on the score sheet, but is still willing to push his way up there.
Cameron Gaudet has gone to the penalty box, a 2-minute minor for hooking. As again, just get a great shot right there. And the puck was right in front of Hughes with a wide open net. But because of the hooking, he was off balance and he couldn't quite get it. Face-off there was won by the Wolverines, but shot at a weird angle, so made its way all the way back down to Noah West in the goal. Casey's going to bring this one up. Power play for the Wolverines. They've scored on both power plays they've had so far. They're a very good power play team. So seeing if they can continue that trend. McGroarty has just kind of loses it. Was double thinking a pass to Casey.
Strange little blip. As you said, it looked like he was looking for a pass, but in the end, decided to hold on to himself. But at the same time, it looks like Schreifels was a step ahead of him and anticipated that move and takes the puck off of him.
Brindley's now going to be bringing it up. Tries to flip it up to head to Hughes. Pass a little bit long. Hughes gets rocked into the corner by Barker. Casey near the blue line. Pass it over to Brindley. Brindley back to Casey. Blue line. Tries to get it into Duke, but not quite there. It was the same play they scored on earlier. Stonehill's ready for it this time. Brindley back to Casey, still at the blue line. Wing, Brindley, back of the net, and there's the goal, making it 5-1. Textbook slap shot one-timer there, assisted by Sean Casey. A brilliant goal, find the upper corner of the net, and this game wasn't put away already. That should do it.
And that's a very clean pass from Casey cutting in from the right outside, and then Brindley just puts the right amount of power. Maybe he was even anticipating that to go in, but he was maybe just thinking, okay, I'll punt it away, I'll clear it away, but it gets in at the same time, and it's 5-1 Michigan. They're out shooting the Skyhawks 30-18.
And that's really been the story that's changed after the first period. First period was pretty even as we resume play now with Michigan trying to get the offense moving again. Was that it was pretty even, but ever since the first period, as that shot there goes wide by number 23, Chase Pletsky. Ever since the first period, Michigan's done a really good job of controlling the puck, not letting Stonehill get opportunities, and getting a bunch of their own. Truscott's got it by the blue line, gives it over to the wing at Hughes. Hughes gets his pass deflected. Rose got it behind the goal, doesn't quite make it.
And they've just announced that the goal is confirmed to be Brindley. This is confirmed for Casey. Really wasn't any doubt, but at the same time, they will review every scoring play to determine the recipient.
Michigan still working in that half-ice offense as a stick is broken.
I believe that's going to be
it's number 20 for the Stonehill.
Henri Schreifels. Our apologies, Henri. I think we're pronouncing your name a different time each time you come up, but.
We have a quick pause in the play. Take a second to clear up that broken stick. We have the media timeout now. 9:19 to go. 5-1. Michigan in control.
And so far, there hasn't been too much to talk about from the Wolverines in this period. It's been more of the same. You know, there's been a lot more cohesiveness. They sort of move in sync a lot better than they were doing earlier in this game, and I think it's worked wonders. Again, they've got another goal. They're shooting with reasonable efficiency. They've scored 5 goals from 30 shots, which is going to give us
about 18% on the day.
Yeah, they're about 16% on the day, which, like I said, their season average hovers somewhere around 11%, so significantly better than usual. And Stonehill have really not been able to get off too many shots since their earlier good run of play in the period.
Exactly.
I think they're playing for conservation. They're worried about rebounds, and they're worried about Michigan getting more goals in. So
in the first period, they had 10 total shots in that period. Ever since then, they've had 8 in the last 2. I think the other big thing is that Michigan has had 3 power plays. They've scored on each of them. They are the second best power play team in the country, percentage of .320 when it comes to power plays. The only team better is Princeton at .348, but Princeton only had 46 power play opportunities, whereas opposed to Michigan's 75. So not only does Michigan get a lot of power plays, but they convert at a higher rate than almost anyone else in the country. And Michigan wins the face-off. That came off a penalty, another penalty. for too many players on the ice. Stonehill had too many players on the ice at some point. And so they put Schweniger into the box so you can't put the coaches in there, unfortunately. So Michigan with another power play. We just were talking about it. And that shot there from Hughes just missed it. But Michigan still has a great opportunity here with the puck in prime scoring position. Stonehill trying to clear it out. Not quite working for him, though. Hughes still has good control of it. Fake the shot, pass it over to the wing. McGroarty. Casey back to McGroarty. Shot! Looked like it went in, but somehow wasn't. Brindley back around. Has it back right where he scored last time.
Right now, Michigan's confidence is reflected in the fact they're playing with an extremely high line. Their entire team is in Stonehill's half.
Casey trying to take himself past the Hughes, but a great save there from Fitzpatrick. And McGroarty's getting into it with Galante.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much chirpiness today, but that's the first bit of a little bit of a quarrel. A kerfuffle.
Got tied up. Thank you for the kerfuffle. Got tied up around the net there, but a great chance there. Casey with a nice little slick pass back to Hughes, but Hughes put the shot on goal, but Fitzpatrick caught it like a catcher framing a pitch, perfectly extended arm out. A great save there. If it was an inch higher or lower, that was going to be another power play goal for this Wolverine team. 49 seconds left on this power play. Win the faceoff. Gets up top to Edwards. Nazar's going to pass it over to McGroarty. Back to Nazar and just missed that one wide. Edwards retrieves the puck. 35 seconds left on the power play. Over to Moldenhauser, excuse me. Pass over to Nazar. And Nazar again just misses high. But right behind it was Estapa to clean up the mess and finish that one for his first goal on the day. And Michigan's sixth, their fourth power play goal. An incredible job there. We were just talking about how good Michigan is on the power play. And they're 4 for 4 today. You had McGroarty passing it up from outside the face-off circle up ahead to Estapa, who flipped it over through the crease to Nazar, who popped it up just over the net, but it actually hit the goalie's water bottle, bounced back into play, and Estapa just finished it, getting it right behind the goalkeeper, Fitzpatrick. And if this game wasn't over enough already, it surely is now. 7:30 to go, 6-1 lead.
And, you know, I think Michigan's strengths as a team just kind of play well to the power play because, again, this is a team that relies heavily on having a lot of numbers up at the top. This is something that you've noticed is the strongest part about their play, just having a lot of people up top, having, even if one shot gets blocked, there's at least 2 more on the rebound. That style of play really works when you're playing against a team that has a numerical disadvantage because even if you closely guard your matchups, if you play a very physical team, you still have to account for that one wild card, usually a defenseman in Michigan's case, which is why I think Michigan likes to use the roaming defenseman.
As Michigan wins faceoff and Holtz puts up a half-court shot. I think you're talking a lot about that. Michigan does do a really good job of getting second-chance opportunities. They had a couple that just missed earlier today, but yeah, they have a lot of great goals and opportunities that they get from having just bodies around the net who are quick with the sticks. And they would have had a couple more today if it wasn't for a hooking penalty against Hughes, just being slightly out of position with, I believe it was McGroarty earlier, had a chance for it, but was just a little bit out of position, and some great defense by the Skyhawks. But Michigan, we've talked about all game, having great control of the puck even now. And it looks like we're going to have a penalty coming up. And there's a big scuffle on the floor now. Someone even dropped their gloves. A lot happened in a very quick amount of time, so I'll try to do my best. We had what was going to be either a tripping or a hooking penalty happen on the near side. Red put his hand up, and as the whistle was blown, on the opposite side, there's a big hit, a Wolverine hitting a Skyhawk. So Japchin is going to get called for the tripping. And also, Ernisi is going to go to the box as well. We'll get the call in a second. The captains are meeting with the ref, going over what happened. But also after that, a little scary, one of the players for the Skyhawks, Cameron Collins. I think he was the one that took the hit into the board. It's a really tough hit. And yeah, it was. Yeah, Collins had a big hit into the glass, and he immediately came down holding his wrist. So he might be interested in getting checked out by the trainer right now. But yeah, so the penalty is a 2-minute hooking on the Stonehill side, and is a 2-minute roughing against Ernesi, excuse me. I've been pronouncing your name all right. Mr. and Mrs. Ernesi, if you're out there, I apologize.
I believe it's Ernesi, yeah.
Ernesi. So we'll be even here, be 4-4.
Yeah, number 40, the penalty is on William Tripp, and it's going to be a 5-minute penalty.
There's a little confusion going on. So it is a power play. It is going to be another power play for the Wolverines, because you had the tripping and the roughing cancel each other out, but you had a 5-minute major. You had a 5-minute game misconduct go against Tripp William. So yeah, it was so full story. You had the tripping against Greg Japchin. He's got 2 minutes for the minor. You have Josh Ernesi, who had the roughing for the tough hit after the whistle. That's 2 minutes. And then you had William Tripp, who kind of came in after the hit and started trying to fight Ernesi. He got a 5-minute major for face masking and a 10-minute game misconduct. And since there's only 6 minutes left in the game, we're not going to see him anymore.
Yeah, and that penalty on the Skyhawks is going to take us just about to the end of the game, as we have.
So Michigan, unless they get another goal here, will have a 1-man advantage, as there is 5:45 left to go and 4 minutes on the penalty.
I don't think, obviously it doesn't matter because the game is about wrapped. I think you just play time killer, maybe not necessarily go for the goal, just take advantage of the fact that they have a numerical advantage. If they want to go for the goal, I think they should leave it a little later in the penalty.
Right now, Michigan's kind of working around, trying to get inside. You had Estapa, who had a nice little, was right at the goal, had a nice little shot that almost went in, but was a little bit wide.
And now Michigan's at 36, Stonehill's at 18. They're out shooting them 2-1.
An incredible performance by this Wolverine offense to hold the puck for that long and to keep Stonehill on their back foot playing defense. After we thought was maybe going to be a scary game with how quick Stonehill got to the lead, Michigan has rallied, they've come back, and they have looked like the team that you'd expect them to look like. Shot by Nazar, blocked again at the goal. It's a lot of buys in front of that net. Moldenhauser's going to come up. He's going to try to get it inside to Shifsky, but not quite happening there. Puck gets spat back out to the other side. Nazar reels it in. Tries to work his way around. Pass over Shifsky. One-timer blocked by the pads. Fitzpatrick putting those pillows to use today. Moldenhauer got center ice. Ringed around, and it's going to be a goal for Michigan.
I believe
their
that's
fifth power play. I think it's going to Estapa.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be to Estapa. That is just insane power play efficiency today. 5 power plays, 5 goals, and 5 of the 7 goals that were scored in total were off power plays.
An incredible performance here. You had a shot by McGroarty that bounced off of Fitzpatrick and hit the crossbar and just died in the crease. And so Estapa just knocked it out of the air back into the net. A great heads-up play there by Estapa to know it, to see the puck as it hits. So they're going to a review just to double check that everything was on the up and up with that play. Because it was, you did have Estapa reaching over Fitzpatrick with a stick to knock the puck in. So they will check this one out. As we are getting close to the end here. 7-1. Let me actually update this one. Goal stands. It is 7-1 is the official score. 4:30 left to go.
And the Wolverines have taken a quite frankly ridiculous 41 shots today, as Stonehill had 10 in the first period, have only had 8 in the preceding periods.
As we have just passed the 9 o'clock hour, this game is in its final hour. 4:30, 7-1, well in hand at this point. A great showing from all these Michigan players, but specifically the Duke brothers, TJ Hughes and Estapa, having great performances. Estapa with 2 goals, Hughes with 2 goals, Dylan Duke got himself 1, Shifley got himself 1.
And Estapa came to life a little late, playing a bit more of a poacher role, but at the same time converting his shots with efficiency and not being afraid to get close to the goal mouth. Just try and get in the positions where you can have physicality, and not to mention, he's just coming back from injury.
A great way to come back from it. Michigan, shot there from Tyler Duke, goes wide. Not letting off the gas. They do definitely have maybe a little bit more of a back line in there with Fantilli, Pletsky, and Tyler Duke out there. All still great players, but usually a little bit behind the Hughes, Nazar, McGroarty, Brindley lines. But they're here and they're still going. They're still shooting. As in comes Seamus Casey and McGroarty and Brindley and Dylan Duke, because we're just talking about them. So Michigan's not just rolling over. They're still going to play. They're still going to get these reps in. As they do still have the man advantage, as unlike with Miners, the 5-minute major does not go away with the goal.
And I think a lot of it is about respecting your opponent, just not going for the kill, but at the same time not pulling off all of your opponents. I think you've secured a comfortable win against an opponent that maybe showed a little more than you would have expected them to show today, especially early on.
Stonehill did. They came out fighting. They came out ready to go. But unfortunately, that has devolved to them actually fighting, as they have gone down 6 goals. 7 unanswered goals this Wolverine team has scored. So I know there's been some question marks about this team that is right around 500 on the year. I mean, look at the record. At first glance, 9-7-3 is not an overly impressive record, but you realize almost all of those wins, save a couple against Linwood, almost all of those wins come from top 20, top 15 opponents. And they still have a bunch more on the schedule to come. So it is a weird team. Of the record isn't that impressive, but the resume of who they've beaten is arguably more impressive than anyone's in the country. And so it's going to be this interesting thing to see about what this Michigan team looks like when we get to later in the year. As a shot there from TJ Hughes knocks the goalpost out of the ice. We'll have a face-off coming up. 2:13 to go. It's going to be interesting to see what this Michigan team looks like, especially like next week, a big test against a really good Michigan team. A home and a home series. You don't see too many of those in hockey. It's usually just a home there or a home here. But because Ann Arbor and East Lansing are so close, you can do a home and home series over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Yeah. And when you look at the scorelines, there have been close games, and they've split most of their series.
Yeah.
They haven't really been significantly outmatched by opponents. They were swept by Wisconsin, but I believe Wisconsin
was the one. Every other one, if not a win, they at least tied or had a shootout win in each series. But also along with that means they also have had a loss in almost every series that they've played. Under 2 minutes now. Shifsky gets a shot on goal, but blocked by Japchin, who was on the ground. His foot kind of blocked that one. And Stonehill returns to full strength now as the 5-minute major is officially over. Nazar loses his stick for a second. Stonehill on the attack. Even numbers. And a fancy little move there by Schwiniger, but his pass was just a little bit off. He was trying to get it to number 77, Ryan King. The extra skater for this Stonehill team is finally making his way onto the ice because of the major from William Tripp. Just about a minute left. Both teams still going at it, but at this point game is wrapped up. Holt snipes that pass off. Ernestine is going to come in, tries to get it up to Draper, but nothing happened there.
We got
a face-off.
We got less than a minute on the clock. This is just about getting ready to wrap up. Stay tuned, though, for a few minutes afterwards as we will be bringing you post-game.
We'll do a little wrap up, kind of go over this, look ahead for both these teams. Michigan with this will improve to 10-7-3 on the year, where Stonehill will unfortunately fall to 0-22 and 0 on the year. I think one of the more impressive things is that Chrysler is still here. These fans, despite the fact Michigan has well in hand, and the fact that there is a championship celebration ceremony happening just down the road, it's still packed out. The children of Yost are out in full force. You still got a bunch of fans of all ages bringing up the rear. The Yost does have one of the best atmospheres to watch a hockey game anywhere in the country, collegiate, professional, anywhere in between. These fans have done their part tonight supporting their team.
And that just goes to show, one of the best fan bases on earth anywhere.
Absolutely. 20 seconds left in this one.
So you're going to see a lot more just time wasting, just a couple of board plays.
Stonehill seeing if they might try to put one last one in. Michigan probably won't see them try anything too much. McGrory does try a shot, doesn't put a lot behind it though. And with that, the final few seconds will tick down, the final buzzer will sound, and this game has officially been brought to a close. Michigan wins 7-1, and what looked to maybe be a shaky performance at the beginning, Michigan turned around and turned to a dominant victory over Stonehill team. And with that, Michigan wraps up was by far the easiest game they ever made. This is the calm before the storm, because like we said, next week you got back-to-back against Michigan State, after that back-to-back Ohio State, and you start running the Big Ten gauntlet
Wisconsin
the rest of the way
after that,
out. Wisconsin, you have Penn State, who's still coming up. Another series with Michigan State for that duel to D later on. You got a lot of great teams coming down the pipe. And Michigan got one last good win, one last little tune-up weekend before they go through this absolute killer's row that they have looking them down.
And I think it was a little more of an experimental game this time around. You saw a lot more lineup switches. You saw maybe you can even attribute that those early game jitters, maybe just trying out a more defensive approach, which they obviously pivoted away to when it didn't work. But at the same time, I think today was when we saw Michigan hockey at its best, at what it can definitely be at its best, because you see the speed, the positional awareness, that narrowness, that ability to play off each other, the ability to get goals from anywhere within the first four lines. I think these are some things this team does very, very well. And then not to mention, we talked about the defense. We talked about the way they use defense in a very smart way, honestly, to open up the attack. Like I said, maybe that's one of the few things that you should maybe be a little concerned about when we're watching this team going forward, that approach where you feel like defense might take a setback, but at the same time, it worked tonight. It has worked for the most part. Like when you look at this team's record, they're better than their record suggests. They can score a ton of points against almost anyone, and it's just more a question of is the consistency of defense on there, is the health there, and I guess those questions haven't been fully answered tonight. But we saw some great formations from the defense as the game progressed. There's a lot more like locking up and boxing out later on in the period. And I just think it's a resounding performance. It's definitely a statement win. You close off this last sort of warm-up game in dominant style. And I think big things are still expected of this team. Maybe not to the same extent as the beginning of the year where some people thought, like, okay, maybe they could go on a run, maybe they could win it. But at the same time, I still wouldn't rule this team out yet. I still think they're a force to make the tournament, and yeah.
Absolutely. I think despite the record, leaving Michigan out of the tournament would be an insane thing to do. They have the best resume in hockey right now, with wins over UMass, over Ohio State. They've got 4 games against Michigan State to get at least a couple wins out of there. They beat Notre Dame. They've got a lot of great quality wins that they've throughout the course of this season. They beat St. Cloud and then tied them. So they had no losses away at the number who was then ranked number 17, and today is ranked number 14. So they've actually moved up since their loss and their tie to the Wolverines. But we'll do a quick little rundown of some of the key stats from today's game. Of course, for the Michigan side, 2 players with 2 goals. TJ Hughes had his 2 on 6 shots, as well as Mark Estapa had his 2 goals along with an assist. Also scoring was Garrett Shifsky. Garrett Shifsky, Gavin Brindley, and then Dylan Duke had 1 apiece. Seamus Casey had 2 assists to his name. Brindley also had 2 assists, as well as McRoarty and Moldenhauer. All those guys 2 assists apiece. Noah West getting his rare start, gets the win. Had 17 saves, only allowed the 1 goal. Played the whole time. And then, of course, on the Stonehill side, Fitzpatrick led up 7 goals, but also had 37 saves. Could have had a much worse night. And then on them, for that team, the only goal that was scored was Andre Schreifel's, had the 1 goal. And then the only assists for those were Dean Schwarniger and Frank Ireland was the 1 positive offensive play they had. And again, that was really quick in the game, about 4 minutes in. When they took that lead, and you're wondering, oh, this Michigan team it's been kind of on and off. Like, is this just an off night? And they really were struggling to get going in that first period. It was tied after the end of that first period. And we were wondering, like, what's going on here? Is Noah West going to be able to get things together? But I think he was really able to get things together. Vihaan, what were your kind of like most encouraging things you saw about today?
I think for me the most encouraging thing I saw was the ability to adapt after a shaky start. I think a lot of the questions that I had about the team earlier on in the first period, were answered pretty well as the game progressed. For example, they really got in and closed those spaces. They stopped playing out so wide as they did. I think most importantly was Noah West's change-up in his goalkeeping. I think he was a lot less afraid to use his arms and legs. He made some really acrobatic plays, and I just think that's something that you really want to see. You want to see a team that sort of figures out, okay, we could be doing better, so they go ahead, they changed up their approach, and it ends up yielding results. And like I said, I still really enjoy the way this team uses defensemen to sort of open up the attacking game. I think it's really clever, and maybe that approach might need some tweaking at some of the more defensive Northeastern and other Big Ten schools, but at the same time, it's worked tonight, and it's worked thus far. I still think there's a lot to like about this team.
This team is very good. Of course, this team that last year went to the Frozen Four, and at that point, they were a common pick to end up winning the whole thing, but they had the upset against Quinnipiac. If they could have gotten through there, they would have likely been national champions. Unfortunately, that did not happen. They're looking to make it this year, but lost a lot of key pieces. Of course, the two big ones that come to mind immediately are Fantilli and Portillo, 2 staunches that both went pro, and now you've got this team who, like I said, it's an interesting story, and we've talked about it to death, but it is interesting to see. I think next week the Michigan State matchup is going to be a huge deal because Michigan State is number 8 in the country. They're a top-tier scoring offense, top-tier scoring defense. They're great at most everything. It's going to be really interesting to see how Michigan team matches up against that. So looking ahead one more time a little bit, as we've mentioned a couple times, next week they got the series with Michigan State, a home and home. Then after that, Wisconsin comes here, and Michigan looks to get a little bit of redemption as Wisconsin is the only team that they were swept by back in early November. They lost 4-5 and 1-2, so very close games even there too. So now coming in, Michigan's a little bit healthier now. They've had a little more time to gel, seeing how that might go with this Wisconsin team. After those Wisconsin games, it's the Ohio State road matchup on February 2nd and 3rd. Then after that, Michigan State right back at it. One here and then one duel in the D on the Saturday night. 2 games against Penn State, 2 games against Notre Dame, 2 more against Minnesota, and then we're at the tournament. And Michigan's it would behoove them to make a run in that tournament to amp up their resume a little bit, because despite their resume, their record isn't great, and it's really hard for me to see them getting a top seed when they're sitting only a few games above 500. So if they really want to have that kind of easier path through to the championship, they want to be in that kind of higher seed, you're going to need to either go on a run here or come out after the bloodbath of the Big Ten that it is. If you're the one that's the last standing, that's going to be a great help to them. But I think this is a Michigan team with a lot of great players, a lot of great chemistry that could make a deep run into the finals.
And I just want to jump in on something that you said about the fact that this team is better than their resume suggests. The quality losses argument makes sense when you're a team that's maybe lost 6-7 games all year by the end of the year.
Yeah, you're like a 12-8.
To use a CFB example,
yeah.
Quality losses make sense as an argument when you're 11-2. What?
Yeah.
11-2 conference champion. But when you're like, suppose if you're 6-6 and didn't even make your conference championship, then it becomes difficult to use the quality losses argument because, well, there's losing a couple of games closely against good teams, and then there's just losing consistently against good teams, which makes you wonder if your team worthy of selection. Which means Michigan, they need to play for more than just closeness. They need to keep playing for wins. You know, there needs to be a couple of series sweeps against these Big Ten opposition, which is something that hasn't come up yet.
That's absolutely the thing. And meanwhile, moving over onto the Stonehill side, they're in the midst of a very long road stretch right now. This was their 6th straight road game after a game against Clarkson back on Friday the 8th, Merrimack on December the 31st, and then a series at Robert Morris where they dropped both those games. They had, of course, this series, and the next week they're going to Long Island University for a back-to-back there, and then to Linwood after that. So it's going to reach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight road games by the time they're done with this before finally on February 2nd coming back home to play Longwood and Linwood again back-to-back, but at home this time. And you're hoping at some point one of these games, Stonehill will finally be able to come and get a win. They do have some great players on the team, specifically Dean Schwiniger was all over the place tonight. He was really making an impact wherever he was. He was one of the few Skyhawks that actually have a little bit of success in faceoffs. He was 8 for 19 in his faceoffs. Michigan is a very good faceoff team, and they're absolutely dominating that throughout the course of today's game, winning 47 faceoffs to 19. He had most of their faceoff victories right there. He is a great player. Currently a sophomore, still very young, got a lot of game ahead of him. Sophomore out of Switzerland, who's come all the way here. And then so far in his 21 games this year, has 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 total points. Looking for him to maybe these next couple years make some steps because he does have some talent. He's got it. Anything last thoughts, Vihaan?
No. It's a strong performance. You know, there's still something to give us pause, but I think a lot of what can be said about this team has been said. I don't think the third period really gave us anything particularly new to reflect on. You know, they're still a good team. Are they the best team in the country? Maybe not, but they're a good team. They can go toe-to-toe with some very difficult opponents, and I think, once again, the expectations for them are pretty high. So I think we can wrap up then.
I think we can. We want to thank you guys so much for tuning in here on WCBN Sports on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to get all of our broadcasts. We do all the hockey, basketball, men's and women's, and, of course, baseball and softball starting up in a few months. We'll have all those games, so make sure you're subscribing here so you can get informed for all of those streams. Follow us on socials. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you this Michigan hockey matchup once again. Michigan 7, Stonehill 1, a great performance from our Wolverines. I have been Tim.
I'm Vihaan.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. And as always, go blue.